All right, guys, welcome to the extended show. Salty Slueth presents This Week in True Crime. She will be joining me here momentarily, as will Mr. Joe SHMOE, to continue that show from over there at Salty Slueth. I appreciate you guys being here so very much. Come on in, get comfortable. That was the Dago signal. I had to throw it up. We had an emergency, and here we are, back. Good to see you guys. Come on in. Make sure you're hitting that like button when you come through the door. For those of you that didn't, and you may not have been over there, please, when you get a chance, run over there. And please, if you will, like that stream that she had set up. We had some technical issues due to weather and stuff like that. What are you going to do? Chris Owens, I'll have to ask Salty where she received that at when she gets here. I just now saw your comment. I'm sorry. And once she gets here, we can ask her and we'll get you an answer, my friend. Welcome, everybody. Come on in the door. Let me finish setting this all up here. I hope it shows live at this point. Yeah. Okay. We got 15 peeps in here. Please make sure to hit the like button here as well. And share this out to everybody you can. I promise you, Chris, we'll get you an answer, okay? I don't know where she got that document for sure. I'm sure that there's a site she's pulling it from, and I will get that answer for you. Welcome, Leslie and Billy. Jaded 847. Chris Owens, again, welcome. Butterfly 71, great to see you. Michelle Weddle, welcome back to you. Come on in, everybody. All right, there she is. Welcome back, Salty. Can you hear me okay?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, I'm on my phone. When the power went out that last time and came back on, it's like I had 2 StreamYards going. It wouldn't let me close one out, and it was like a bad echo, and then it wouldn't let me do anything. I'm just sitting there watching you guys. So sorry about that, guys.
It's okay. Rebecca Ann, welcome. Still waiting for Joe to pop in here for the. Okay, do you know who this Chris Owens is, Salty?
Who?
Chris Owens.
No, from where? Where are you seeing that?
They were in your stream and then just popped in here and asked about for the time. Where can I find the document? Those documents. And it says no. Oh, I'm not talking about a certain fucking document. Okay. Oh, please understand what I'm talking about. You want to know where to get the documents from. That's what you said. And I said, Salty, when she gets here, I can get that answer for you.
I don't know what they asked because I like I said, I couldn't get back into the stream, so I really don't know what the question was. Chris, if you have a question, I'll be glad to try to answer it.
Right there. It was for the upteenth time. Where can we find those documents?
Same place I do, Twitter, because they're really hard to find. I mean, sometimes I get scribbed. A lot of people on Twitter share the documents from different Google Drives in various places, and I have to research and pull documents from where I can a lot of times. Sometimes it's off Reddit. Most of my Delphi documents that I get through these filings, I do get off Twitter. And I mean, I can't drop the link right now. I'm on my phone and all that's on my computer, but that's where I get the documents. But I don't mind dropping links in my community tab for any documents we go over in any of the cases. So anytime you guys need a document and you want to get a look at it yourself, I'll try to drop the link into the community tab.
Okay. It says, I hate it when someone doesn't know exactly what I'm talking about. The ones you were just discussing. That's what she's talking about, Chris.
Chris, I was reading from a document that was filed recently is a memorandum of law for the exculpatory evidence defense that they want to bring in the third party defense. And the judge is yet to rule on that. So we don't know if they're going to get to bring it in or not. And that's the document we were reading from. We were reading from a court document. So like I said, when I get the chance to get back onto my desktop, I'll grab the link to that document and drop it. But if there's a different document or question, I don't know what's really happening right now.
Yeah. Oh shit. 11:22. Hang on, everybody.
Uh-oh, Dago's glitch time now.
Jesus. Joe, the link is in chat, brother.
Ow.
That was it. Are we done with the glitch? I'm here. That was a weird one. Come on in, everybody. Did you see the link, Joe?
Oh, and I just saw a comment. Look, guys, please don't get sideways with each other, because I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I cuss. So I'll try to curb it. I'll try to curb it and keep it cordial and ladylike. Ladylike, but not in my channel. You're gonna hear me cuss.
I'm gonna explain something real quick, okay? Welcome, Joe. Thank you for joining us again. I don't mind cussing or swearing. I don't specifically do it. That doesn't mean anybody else doesn't. And I do it at occasion, guys. Okay, I'm not perfect. There's no. They were talking. Whoever said don't be rude, they were referring to that Chris Owens account because of the way that the comments were coming up, I believe. So it's
he
fine.
said the word. He said fucking. Okay, and it was in. It wasn't like the straight up word. He used a couple of letters, but someone, don't want him to talk like that. So I see you and I respect it, and I will try to curb my cussing in Dago's streams.
I'm not worried about it.
Well, I don't want to offend people, and that's not what I'm out to do. I just don't want people to argue over cuss words. It's not worth it.
I don't think it was the cuss word. I just think the way that they took that.
I'm so tempted to quote Anchorman right now, but I won't.
Do it, Joe. Do it.
Do your thing, brother. Do your thing.
You know I wouldn't say fuck. You know I'd never fucking say fuck.
Absolutely not. I don't see. I swear to you guys, it's no big damn deal. They're words.
Yeah, I'm a grown up, and I'm a Southern lady with a mouth like her grandpa's, and I'm very proud of that.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that. So welcome, everybody. Sorry again. It's great to be here again. And let's continue on with what we have. And are you able to share things with the issues we're having?
Well, when I go back actually, I just sent you 2 videos, but we're not going to look at them yet.
Okay.
When I go back well, the document, I need to go grab it and send it to you if we're going to read some more of that document. Hang on, I'll be right back. You guys hang out. I'll be right back. Let me go try to grab that to Dago.
All right. So Chris again is saying I clicked on the freaking link and it's not taking me straight to the documents.
I haven't dropped the link for the documents yet. I just said I don't even know if the computer's going to be back up yet. I got to go check. So I don't have the document link dropped yet, Chris. Please be patient. And I'll get it.
By the way, thank you. Where'd you go? Mustang for subscribing. I appreciate you very much. And if we can we please drop Joe's link in here too? Since we're all in here as well. And I would appreciate anybody that has not, when this is dropped, click on Joe's link, go over there. Let's get his channel kickstarted.
There's absolutely no content on there.
Nothing yet. We'll make sure that changes soon. But yeah, just please do, if you will. Let's support this gentleman and get things rolling. So, exactly, Mustang. Come on,
gentlemen. You're throwing words around loosely right now, gentlemen.
Yeah. Yes. It is what it is. Where is Caden? He is in the living room watching, some kind of show. Yeah, I'm not bringing anybody else on panel. This is Salty's panel tonight. I'm sorry. We're just bringing it over from her channel. It's just the 3 of us discussing this. When she comes back, if she wants to bring somebody else up, that's up to her. We'll have to wait till she comes back in here, but I wasn't planning on bringing anybody up but the rest of us. So we'll see. Just give me a moment here, please.
Just hanging out on a Saturday night.
Absolutely. Welcome, Miss Vicky. Good to see you. Please, again, guys, for those of you that are just popping in here and maybe you were not over at Salty's channel, do me a quick favor. If you get a chance, please jump over there, like the video she put up for tonight so that she still gets that. And if you have not yet subscribed to her channel, we can put Salty's link in here. So yeah, please, if you will, just give me a moment here. Joe, okay, good. We're good there. 1 second here. I feel bad. I know what it's like to have these technical issues. They are not fun by any means, especially with internet issues.
Technology is great when it works, but when it doesn't, it can.
It'll render you like helpless in some senses.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like cashiers can't even like give you correct change without their register working.
You know, that's sad though, that they don't teach some of the newer generation how to count money back. That was a class when I was in elementary school. We had to do a whole month's worth of just counting money and telling time. These kids, a lot of these kids don't know how to count money. They don't know how to read a damn clock, Joe. What the hell is that all about? If it's not a digital thing, they don't know how to read, and they don't write in cursive. Where are we headed? You know what I mean? Where the hell are we headed? I'm scared. I'm scared.
We are hugely reliant on technology, and it's just going to get worse. Like the new generations can
AI.
Yeah, well, not just AI, but also human interaction with technology. Like the things that my kids can do is going to be surpassed by the things that my grandkids are going to be able to do with their phones and their laptops. I mean, and it happens so fast. I mean,
absolutely. It came down. Okay, let's go back to, while we're waiting on Salty still, let's go back to like the Windows 98 days when computer systems were like that. Okay.
No. Go way back before that. Go back to Commodore 64s.
Oh God, yeah, I had one of those.
Yes, in the mid 80s. I learned how to program DOS on a Commodore 64.
I had one of those, and I had the one I got at a yard sale when I became an adult. It was a Tandy. We had those in school.
Oh my gosh.
The two drives on it with
the two floppy drives.
That's where we did the DOS programming and stuff on it in high school. But yeah, so we start there, and then we look at where we're at now. Okay. And you're just kind of like, how in the hell did this happen in such a short period of time? It seemed like a short period of time.
Right.
And even before that, this little thing I was telling my people last night, this little thing on my desk that's sitting next to me that runs what we're doing right now. It used to be so big it had to take its own building up. And now it's on this little thing sitting on my desk. That is a mind blower, you know?
Yeah. The Commodore 64, was that 64 kilobytes? Wasn't that the RAM that the Commodore 64 had, was 64 kilobytes?
Well, I thought it was even smaller than that, wasn't it?
Whatever it was tiny. So you could just do basic like math programs, basic games like bingo.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then they came out with like Frogger and games like that you could throw in there later on. And
Donkey Kong was my first PC game.
Oh God. Wow.
Where you hit the space bar to jump over the barrels and you had to get it just right.
Yes, sir. And I went from the Commodore, which we got used, to an Atari 2600, which I thought I was like rich kid status at that point, you know?
Right.
And then on down the line, because I was a Game Boy.
And that was only 40 years ago. Like, think how much technology has advanced in just the last 40 years.
And I said last night, I went from my birthday year, 1974, to today. I said 50 years. I'll be 50 years old November 23rd of this year. And I said 50 years. Look at what we had in 1974, and look what we have now in 50 years. How? Explain to me how. Okay. And if you go backwards 74, back to 50 years before that.
24? Oh my gosh, they didn't even have cars. I mean, they did technically, like the Model A's or whatever, but
it was so slow though. It progressed so slow, and then boom,
bam,
here we are. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So crazy. Oh, what are you saying here, Leslie? I learned on a reel-to-reel old IBM with floppy drive. Yeah, I got you.
Okay, well, get this. So my dad was a college student at Purdue University, late 60s, and I was born in 70. And I can remember him taking me to the computer center at Purdue University and him using the punch cards. They had like punch cards like this with the holes to do his routine. And he would have like a deck of like 100 of those cards to do his computer programming.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. How many of you guys know that a floppy disk actually used to be floppy?
Right. Yeah.
100%. 100%. Are you back yet, Miss Salty? Not quite yet.
If she is, she's muted.
Not quite yet. Okay.
Not yet.
No problem. We're just trying to entertain, guys, till she can get here.
Reel-to-reel IBM. Wow.
How about reel-to-reel like music? My uncle had a reel-to-reel that we used to listen to like songs on, music on, and it was so weird, guys, compared to like vinyl records and all. I mean, it's just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I thought reel-to-reel was the coolest shit in the world because, you know, it just made me feel important, but everything's changed. Everything. We go from reel-to-reel to vinyl reel-to-reel to vinyl to 8-track to cassette to laser disc, CD, and now we can just go to it into a computer and pull a song out of nowhere. You know, it's insane. 50 years, folks. 50 years. Where did that technology come from, and how and why? Super fast. Yep, they definitely were floppy, Leslie. They were square, like a big square piece of plastic, and they had a little film in the inside, a circular film, which is where they read everything on. You slid it in that disk drive, and off it went.
Right. Were those 5 1/4? Is that what those were?
I think so. Yeah, they were the big ones, and then
it was either 5 1/4 and 3 1/2, or it was 5 1/2 and 3 1/4. But I think it was 5 1/4, 3 1/2.
Mm-hmm. And then they went down to the hard that they were still called floppies, but they were hard plastic.
Yes.
And then they were smaller, definitely smaller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I think I tried to drop the link to the document in my community tab, but it won't from the desktop. I got to do it from my phone later. But I did send you the document. I see you got it. And then the second thing I sent you is for something I was going to look at a little bit if we get to it. So
that's fine. No, take your time, whatever you want to do. Where were you at on this document so I can pull it right to your spot?
We were past this page. Wait. Maybe not. No, yeah. We were. Go ahead.
Okay.
We read about the other suspects. We read about the Perlmutter's take on it. So going down, we were only like 4 or 5 into it. Not two. We passed this one, location of crime scene and all that.
Cause of death, yes. Murder weapon.
We went through this.
Body disposition, yes. Exhibit H, Nicole Robertson. Okay. I don't think we talked about the atypical.
Right here. Yeah, we should be right here.
All right, let me make it a little bit bigger for you, my dear. And there we go. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, go up to number 6, I think, though. Right above the 8, this one. Yeah.
Right
go back
here.
up. Go back up to page 6. Right here.
Okay.
Okay. So, body disposition. Dr. Perlmutter testified that in ritualistic killings, bodies are often moved and positioned in a fashion that is not counter-forensic measure. That is not a counter-forensic measure. In other words, that the bodies are moved and positioned in a manner not consistent with someone who is trying to conceal the bodies. She further testified that the bodies are often positioned to include the arrangement of natural objects. In paragraph 6 of her affidavit of probable cause for a search warrant for the home of Ron Logan, slow down. I was like, whoa, got dizzy. FBI agent Nicole Robertson testified that it was her belief that Liberty German and Abigail Williams' bodies had been moved and staged. Major Cicero of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department also testified at the hearing that Liberty German's body, trigger warning guys, was drug around the crime scene and that Abigail Williams was moved from side to side. Additionally, it is evident that Abigail Williams was moved from side to side. Okay. Additionally, it is evident from the crime scene photo identified as Exhibit FF that sticks and branches were deliberately and intentionally arranged on the bodies. Major Cicero testified that the sticks and branches maybe covered 3% of the girls' bodies. He further testified there were many leaves and sticks in the area which could have been used to conceal the bodies if that was the intent of the killers. And I've thought that, there was a lot of stuff you could have done besides placing a few, twig type things. Atypical blood pattern. Finally, Mrs. Perlmutter testified that there is often atypical blood patterns identified in ritualistic killings. She identified the blood patterns on Liberty German's face as atypical blood pattern. This abnormal blood pattern on Liberty's face was also identified by Major Cicero. Mr. Allen has a constitutional right pursuant to the 16th and 14th Amendments of the United States Constitution, of the Indiana Constitution, to present evidence describing the area where the bodies were found, the manner which they were found, and to provide an explanation for said descriptions. He further has the right to prevent evidence following therefrom the individuals who killed Abigail and Liberty were followers of Asatru, Odinism, and the murders were part of the ritualistic sacrifices. And there's a footnote there about the amendments. Article 1, Section 13 of Indiana Constitution protect Mr. Allen's rights to the manner, quality, and thoroughness of the investigation, to inquire about law enforcement's failure to consider third-party suspects, and to present evidence biased of the investigation. Okay. So Mr. Allen has a fundamental right to due process. We went over that. So we're going to go on down. Yeah. Mr. Allen has more. They're just citing case law. I'm not going to read all that. In this matter, Mr. Allen's evidence is that law enforcement failed to properly investigate third-party suspects and failed to consider alternative theories in their timeline. In this case, members of the Unified Command failed to follow up on the leads and investigations of Assistant Police Chief Todd Click and Indiana State Police Detective Kevin Murphy, such as the failure to perform an extraction of Brad Holder's phone. The failure to. Now you got to scroll up.
Lord, come on. Why does it get stuck all the time? Sorry. I'm trying. Okay.
It got stuck? Okay.
My mouse gets stuck sometimes. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, Mick got stuck.
No,
I got you. It's okay. Investigate the alibi of Patrick Westfall or Elvis Fields and the failure to seek warrants to search the homes of those individuals. Oh, they didn't search their homes.
Huh. Interesting.
So Westfall's alibis, I was at home with my kid.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a minute.
What's that?
They didn't search either one of their homes?
Even after Fields made that comment that Joe was talking about earlier.
Interesting. Like, yeah, Elvis Fields made a specific comment, and you would think, wow, okay.
No wonder y'all didn't look at Rick Allen the minute he told y'all he was there.
100%. Like, what? What the hell? Okay. Anyway.
All right, we see you. Okay. Unified Command did not consider any fact that did not fall into their timeline that the girls were murdered between 2:14 and 3:30 p.m. on February 13th. Unified Command failed to investigate why Liberty German's cell suddenly connected to the cell phone tower at 4:33 a.m. on February 14th, after not connecting to the tower from 5:44 p.m. on the 13th until 4:33 the following morning.
Hold on one
now,
second.
remember, guys, go ahead.
Oh, 1 second. Look, okay, I'm not trying to be rude here. And now the link is gone. I was hoping these documents would already be available to read and download. Okay, we're presenting these documents.
Take that up with Indiana. I'm sorry. Take it up with the state of Indiana.
Right. We can only do what we can do, Chris. I'm sorry if you're unhappy. Maybe you want to watch it
Go to
somewhere else.
Twitter. Go to Twitter and search it. I did my computer. We had a power failure. I got storms in Florida. I'm doing the best I can, Chris. I was able to get the document today. I tried to drop it on my community tab for you, but it wouldn't do it on the computer. I'm on my phone in StreamYard. I'll have to close out, go away, and come. I'll do that if you want me to, though. So I'll be back, but I would rather not.
You
I can
don't need
drop
to
it
do that.
later. Yeah,
This
I can
is
drop it later. And that's what I said I would do. I promised, but I can only do so much, and that's not enough. I'm sorry.
These were presented by Indiana. We're just taking them and showing them to you guys that way. We didn't do it. Okay, so that's all.
Yeah, I didn't. I got them straight off. Like I said, I got them off Twitter. I have some accounts I follow on Twitter that are very good about dropping Delphi documents. In fact, if you guys want to branch out a little bit, do your own research, Twitter's a good place to do that.
Yeah, there are lots of sources for these documents. Lots of them that have been out there for a couple of days. So, in the words of Bart Simpson, don't have a cow, man.
Right.
Thank you. Welcome, Slow Southern Style, Miranda Lee. Thank you for joining us. And yes, they did. On we go.
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to.
No, you're good. Well, thank you. You're okay. Let me see. So something happened at 4:33 a.m. on February 14, 2017 that caused Liberty German's cell phone to suddenly connect to the cell phone tower. And it is logical to believe that whatever caused the phone to connect was the result of actions being taken by third-party suspects. Now, they don't know how it came back on or who caused it to come back on. But remember, this phone was found under the body in a shoe.
Yeah.
And it didn't connect to the towers from, 5:33 that night, 5:44 p.m.
5:44, yeah.
And they were trying to ping it. Now, it pinged sometime during the night because once they called that search off, and this is according to the authorities, not me, not the rumor mill, but according to the authorities, when they called the search off at 11:30ish or whatever it was, close between there and midnight, the family stayed out a little longer, but there was a ping that came in on that phone around 2 a.m. I think it was. I may be mistaken on that exact time, but something happened that made them want to go back out there with that phone. And then it comes back on at the 4:33 mark, and all those messages came through where the family was trying to reach her.
Yeah.
And they don't, and they're trying to explain how that phone got back on suddenly when it had been off or out of service or whatever all that time. I know where they're going with that. It's timeline.
Of course, yes.
And and then I had to, I was wondering theory wise, but I won't go there yet. Okay. Yeah. We'll be here all night.
We're all on the same page.
Yeah. The evidence goes to the very heart of the thoroughness of the investigation into the deaths of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. And that is it right there. This goes against the very heart and thoroughness of the investigation into those girls' deaths. And they absolutely deserve every single person and angle looked at that could, and all of a sudden you got this handful of people y'all were looking at so early. You didn't get a tip immediately because you didn't tell anybody which crime scene looked like. So don't tell me somebody tipped you off to Brad Holder, because how did they know to even indicate Brad Holder if they didn't know what the crime scene appeared to look like? Because as far as we knew at that point, 2 girls were deceased in the woods and no one knew how. And the crime scene, there, like I said, there were rumblings, but they didn't come out immediately day 1, day 2, day 3, right? They came out a while later. So I'm just always curious how they decided to start start looking into these guys. What was it? Just because Abby dated Logan?
Mm-hmm.
And then you take a look at what a lot of investigators, including the FBI who searched Ron Logan's home, thought this could be. And then, I don't know, man, branch out. Go look into all these people. Okay. They're going to cite the case law again. Evidence is relevant when it may when it has any tendency to make the existence of any fact that is of consequence to determine. I gotta make this a little bit bigger. To
You want me to
determine
read it?
it's not you, it's me on the phone, but I got it. I got a big phone, but I just had to blow it up a little bit.
No
I'm
problem.
blind. Consequences to the documentations of the action more probable or less probable than it would be without the evidence. Evidence which tends to show that someone else omitted the crime logically makes it less probable that the defendant committed the crime, and thus meets the definition of relevance. In order for the defendant to admit evidence that a third party is responsible for the crime, the defendant must show some connection between the third party and the crime. Um, and right now they're saying they can't. I mean, not
Right.
the defendant, but the prosecution's like, there's nothing there, but there was literally nothing there with Rick Allen either.
Right.
And all these guys that were looked into, they all claim not to know who Rick Allen. They had no ties to Rick Allen. That he had none tied to them that we are aware of. Nowhere, that would have fit into the Odinism stuff. That wasn't Rick Allen, apparently. And I'm not saying that's what happened here, but it was looked into. Okay, so let me see where I was.
Right here at the top should be.
Indiana courts have found the following evidence to be competent and reliable evidence central to the accused defense that someone else did it. Ooh, the Saudi defense. Some other dude did it.
Right.
Good Lord. The defense provided a reconstruction of the crime and testimony that another person made statements linking himself rather than the defendant to the murders, which should have been admitted. Evidence that the married man was having an affair with. They're citing a case law here. I was like, what? Evidence that a married man was having an affair with the victim, worked at the same place as the victim, and the defendant had sexual relations with the victims the night before the murder, lied to his wife about the whereabouts, had an argument with the victim on the day she was last seen and alive, and had lied on his time card at work the day after the murders was admissible. That was a case law they were citing. Okay. Understanding that evidence of third-party suspects is relevant, the question then turns to the standard the court must utilize in determining whether the third-party evidence is admissible. So then they're going to go ahead and cite some case laws. You can scroll up, Dago, and let's see what else is there, because like I said, I didn't review these all the way through before I was started. So a footnote: to be admissible in criminal prosecution, evidence the third party has committed the crime which the defendant is charged need to show substantial proof of probability that the third person, I guess Indiana has their own laws about this type of, about third party culpability, right?
Right.
Because even in Florida, Jose was able to walk in there and present a theory alternate of Casey's.
Right. So that is going to be a critical matter that Judge Gohl is deciding on right now, is what is the threshold? Because if it's McClelland's threshold, then they're not getting anything in, and that is direct physical evidence. But I say that he said two different things at two different times, and he did state a couple of case laws. But he said at one time he said direct physical evidence, another time he said direct DNA evidence. Obviously, direct DNA evidence is a lot higher threshold, and I can't imagine her agreeing with that.
Right.
But
didn't he make a statement, something about you can only bring Holder in if you bring DNA or something to that effect?
Yes. Yep. So
that's an interesting statement right there.
Sure
right.
is.
So that's the DNA threshold. But direct physical evidence, and I said this before, I'm just going to say it one more time. The defense's ritualistic sacrifice expert, Perlmutter, whatever. she said ritualistic rune magic was being done in the woods before the murders. So to me, that could be argued that is direct physical evidence. They didn't argue that. But If they had argued that, that is direct physical evidence of a third-party culprit being in the woods prior to the homicides. So if I were the defense attorneys, I might have argued that a little bit better, but they didn't. So we'll see what her threshold is.
Well, knowing Gull, the way we've come to know her,
right?
I'll be surprised. Will you be surprised if she lets any of this in? Or do you think she's going to keep it out? Yeah, I will be too.
100%. 100%.
I think all the Odinist stuff is staying out. Like 100% of it, I think, is staying out.
I do too.
I would put money on it. I wouldn't put my whole paycheck on it, but I'd put money on it.
She hasn't liked it since it was first mentioned. And at that point, I think that's where you can take that from.
And she admitted that she didn't even read the Frank's motion.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, how you're the judge, isn't it like your job to read the motions that come in? Because you got to rule on those motions. So if you're not reading them, you have no intention to rule on them fairly.
You can't rule on them, right?
Right. You can't. That was one of the most ridiculous things that she admitted to. I couldn't believe a judge, especially a judge of her caliber.
Thank you.
You're a special appointed judge. You got a really, really high job there in Indiana, and you even got a promotion recently, I think.
She did.
Yeah. So that's like saying, I wish I'd have talked to Fields a little longer after he made that comment.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot with that. I agree with you on that one. I'm gonna run and grab my coffee.
You go right ahead.
And I will be
I'll read a little bit of this. You go ahead. You're good. So guys, I'll read a little bit more of this. Brad Holder. Now, his son Logan was dating Abby. And that's how they're tied together. So Brad Holder is the father of Logan Holder, who was Abigail Williams' boyfriend at the time of the murders. Law enforcement identified Brad Holder as a suspect by February 17th, 2017. 3 days.
That's so fast. That's 3 days. Yeah.
3 days after the bodies were discovered. So, wow. Law enforcement received several tips that Brad Holder was the man in the video found on Liberty German's cell phone. So, you put Bridge Guy out there. Nobody claims it's Rick Allen, but they claim it could be Brad Holder. And we all know how much he possibly looks like Bridge Guy. But so does Rick Allen a little bit to me. They both do. I've put them side by side with the sketches. There's times they do look a lot alike. But I'm going to tell you, Brad Holder looks a lot like what could have been on that bridge. I even got a video of him. I made a couple of videos about it and a good TikTok about it. He comes out on social media and he tells you, you think I'm the murderer? Does this hat trigger you? Mocking the fact that he looks like the Bridge Guy.
Yeah. With that golf hat or whatever you call it.
With the flaps on the side. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of views on that video, and when it was sent to me a long time ago, I was like, whoa, really, dude? Does this trigger you? Yeah, it does a little bit, Brad. Just a little bit. Okay, so people thought they received tips that he could be the Bridge Guy. Reportedly taken at the south end of the Monon High Bridge at 2:13 on February 13th, 2017, and that he was involved in the murders. And they mentioned the Frank's motion. We haven't went over that document yet because we will get to it eventually in our coverage. When Dago comes back in a minute, we'll move the screen up a little bit and see if there's any more we want to read out of those documents. So I'll look over the chat real quick.
So I'm just going to say one thing. It is Monon High Bridge.
Monon.
Yes.
Am I saying okay? Monon is not Monin. It's the Monon High Bridge.
Yes.
Okay. It's. I told Dago this a long time ago. But I have on my lock screen. It's left from Halloween. It says "Do not enter," and it's like bloody hands, right? And so it's just like don't enter my phone. But when you open my phone, I got a big phone. the picture is that bridge.
Oh, wow.
Because my oldest son saw it one day. He's like, Mom, where's that picture taken from? He knows me, sunset, beautiful scenery. I'm taking a picture. And he's the same way. And I told him, he's like, why do you have it on your phone? I said, because I want to know who did what to those girls in the woods that day. Because I was watching the news the day it was announced they were missing, and it's just kind of like the Elizabeth Smart case to me. So
yeah,
I appreciate the proper pronunciation though.
yeah. It's very particular to Lafayette and the Lafayette area, because the Monon Railroad goes all the way down through Lafayette and points south.
Yeah, Jenny. We've looked into that. We've got a lot of documentation on that too. We haven't been able to present yet, or we haven't gotten there as in our discussions. But Nick McClelland and Brad Holder were a part of the Masons. So was Holder's sons. Interesting stuff there, indeed. The ties, in these small communities, like I said, people know each other and the inner workings and all the things. So you don't ever know who actually crossed paths and who didn't. Now, I know that I have some posts that are of Holder and of McClelland getting their little awards or whatever you want to call them, getting into the higher ups of their masonry, but they're from different lodge ain't the right word for it, Joe. I don't know what you call it, like branch or office or building or something. Or
Right.
what do you? I don't know.
Right.
But so did they know each other through that somehow? A lot of us have wondered that
Masonic temples, right?
Yes.
So when I was down in Orlando for my professional conference at the same conference center, there was a Masonic ceremony going on to honor one of the higher ups in the Masonic Lodge. And I sat down at the bar and had drinks with a 33rd degree Mason who was the regional director of something other. He gave me his card after he was done, but he was wearing like a Rolex with diamonds all the way around it.
Yep.
Yep. Wow.
Like,
yes, Chris, there are so many documents in this case.
A lot.
The judge got in trouble because she was willy-nilly putting stuff in and out of there for us to see, taking out what they didn't want us to see. And she was ordered to put all that back in there. So we have also had a hard time obtaining documents from time to time in this case.
Very hard time. Yes.
The probable cause affidavit was sealed. We had to, not we, but the public, the media had to fight to get that document and different things. So, like I said, I don't drop links to all of the documents. I have to go find them. And a lot of times we just present them on the streams. But I have told my community in the past, if you have a particular document you'd like to see, if you let me know, I'll try to drop it. Like I tried to do it earlier and it wouldn't let me, but we'll try to stay on top of getting these links out there when we can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I have to go back and find old documents to refer back to when new ones come out, and compare. Or it's hard to remember even what document said what sometimes, and where, so it's a hot mess of a case.
And you also have to remember that Carroll County is one of the poorest counties, not the poorest, but probably bottom third poorest counties in the state. So the amount of time it takes them to post this stuff online, they're probably doing it as fast as they possibly can. And that's probably slower than half of the other counties in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't have a nice, neat little package like Idaho does for us.
No, they don't.
Here you go. Boom, boom, boom. Click what you want. We don't. So that's another thing with these constitutional rights. We can see everything going on down there in the Koberger case. Here, it's been a pain in the ass, honestly.
Can you imagine how nice it would be if they set it up just like Idaho does with that little portal and all that fun stuff? Oh my God, it'd be so nice.
Yeah, and fortunately, there are some really good people on Twitter that really love to drop these documents, and that's where I go, and I'll get their Google Drives, and I'll get their Google links, and that's how I'm getting them.
Yeah.
So it is work sometimes, and so we appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to them, those that want to be here and learn about the investigation of the case. Like we said, we don't even know if any of this is going to be able to get into court, but the fact that it was all investigated, it's there. You can't help it. Now we know, right? Just like in Idaho, the unknown DNAs. If Ann had brought out some filings along to talk about that more, I would love to see them and be talking about that, but they're not there. So she hasn't filed anything on them. So these guys have filed stuff. So, just
Absolutely. Chris says, okay, what I want to know is, do any of these previously sealed documents connect the clients to the case or either of the girls? And do any of them contain more evidence against Richard Allen?
no. And there is an absolute tie between Keegan Kline and Liberty German.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Everyone knows it. Her grandmother is well aware. It's very well documented. He is the one who had the fake Anthony Schatz account profile. He was the one communicating with Liberty German, pretending to be somebody he wasn't, a young guy, closer to her age that she would talk to. And allegedly, that account communicated with these girls the night before and the morning of. But he's never been charged. He was investigated. He's sitting in prison right now for 45 years, I think, on CSAM charges, where he would go and, seduce little girls into sending him pictures they shouldn't have been sending.
Which have nothing to do with this case.
Nope.
No. No.
But I still am curious. They went there for a reason that day. And whether it's that they just wanted to take a walk because they had no school, or because they were asked to come there for some reason. And I've always wondered this. I think
a lot of us have, were they going out there to meet someone?
Right.
Because, like I said, they were settling in for the morning, doing some chores with Becky and doing some filing for Becky. And the sister was getting ready to go to work and things. And then Liberty emerges and says, hey, can we go to the bridge? Will you drop us off? So did they get in there and start talking to somebody in the room and plan to go meet somebody out there? We don't know yet. We don't have anything on Libby's phone other than Bridge Guy video and down the hill recording.
Right.
So and we know that the account communicated with the Anthony Schatz, but beyond what else is on that phone, I don't even think the defense knows at this point. They're just going to be getting those records here soon.
Yeah. Right.
And maybe we can find out more about Liberty's phone and what was on there,
So here's an interesting question about that I just had. So Cecil is the state's technologist that is doing brand new extractions on the phone. Can the defense not hire their own technologist to take a hold of the phone and do his own extractions?
Yep.
Now, didn't Judge Gold deny them some money for experts at one point?
Yes, she did. Absolutely, she did.
Let that happen over there in Kohberger's case and watch what happens with this world. It's going to be set on fire.
Yep.
Right.
If a person is appointed a public defense, and now this defense is like, we're going to do this no matter what, right? Throw us off the case, we're coming back. But you should be doing that. I mean, that's not, like Ann says, my client needs everything to have a fair trial. We're facing the death penalty. I think Richard Allen deserves the same.
Yes.
So
all defendants do.
Exactly.
They deserve to be fairly represented.
Because it's going to come down to your expert against mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all these cases, or these two cases, I should say, Kohberger's and this one. Right. So, outside of what little physical evidence they might have, it's going to come down to some expert testimony.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what they do go with that going forward.
Right. Like Perlmutter versus Cicero. Like there were the two. Perlmutter was the defense's witness about it, and Cicero was the state's witness. And to be honest, I thought Cicero was the more credible of the two witnesses.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you mean by that as well.
Based on what you've explained, yeah, I agree with you. Real
Yeah.
quick, Echoes said, so the Elvis guy, they have his DNA. Does anyone know the results? No. I mean, they haven't put
Well,
anything.
it doesn't match the DNA at the crime scene, or he'd be in jail.
That's
I
that. Yeah,
hope.
yeah.
100%.
So that's the only answer to that question. Truly, otherwise, he's floating around, so something's not right there. That's crazy though to think about.
Apparently, none of the DNA swabs they've taken out of anybody they've looked at doesn't match what they have,
Right?
including Richard Allen's. In my opinion, from everything I have looked at and all the interviews I've heard about the DNA, and the family understanding there's DNA, they don't know what type: saliva, semen, blood. Well, Coffindaffer claims blood's not DNA though. I'm sorry, I just couldn't help
Don't even
myself.
start me. Don't even get me started.
I just thought that just dawned on me.
She
Right?
also claimed that those tree branches just kind of fell out of the tree and landed the way they did.
Yes.
The wind blew hard, storm rolled through.
She just needs to sit down and be quiet. I'm sorry, she does.
Yeah, I don't. I laugh at her. She don't.
Right.
I laugh. She might. Yeah, she might. She gets people triggered. She don't trigger me. I laugh at her. I just keep scrolling. Look at you, baby girl. You go right ahead.
Go back in the corner and brush your hair. You're pretty. Do your thing.
There's a lot of y'all.
So do you want hear a new theory that I just came up with tonight?
Yes.
Reviewing these documents.
Yes, sir.
So there was something in there about Perlmutter's testimony that I don't remember from when I was there in the courtroom. And that was they hold ceremonies, Odinus or Acitrist or whatever, hold ceremonies near water so they can cleanse the bodies prior to the sacrifice.
Yes.
So what if they had the girls undress and go down into the water and cleanse the bodies in the creek and then bring them back up and then do their thing, and then they redressed Abby a little bit, right?
Yeah. Because now we know that Liberty's clothing and one of her shoes was in the water. I've got the actual pictures of that. They were leaked a long, long time ago. They're not of the bodies or any of those recent leaks that took place of the actual girls. This is simply just clothes in the water, but it is definitely Libby's clothes. You can see it plain as day.
So that would fit that theory, right? And that would that would wash off some of the DNA. That would wash off Elvis Fields' DNA.
And we've also I didn't air it tonight, but I have a link to share. It is from a local TV station there, but it was the helicopter footage of this of when they were searching for the girls and all the things going. You can see the guys, the rescue guys in the water doing searches, and they really I can see from the sky. I'm like, there's where the bodies are right there, and then you can hear it's very faint, but you can hear because the helicopter noise is happening. But they're telling the helicopter guy where the girls are, I think. But it says, then you hear them say the bodies have not been recovered. But I think they're meaning they're still, there. But because the helicopter starts zooming in, and then you see the guys in the water. And I know those clothes were found, Joe. They were found on the side of the Ron's property, right against the bank there.
Right.
Stuck in some little branches and stuff there in the water.
That would totally make sense with the cleansing ritual.
Yes.
Yeah. And I've got I found a footage from Julie, what's her name, Melvin, where they were on the bridge that walked the bridge, because I always try to find good footage of the area. I'm not looking for the people giving me the footage. I can ignore them. I want to see your footage. So hers, though, she takes you all the way to the end of the bridge, down that hill, all the way to the creek. That creek is pretty shallow. Now, this was not long, and when I reviewed that helicopter footage again, it was good because it gave me real time of what the terrain was for that time of year, as far as foliage on the trees and things like that, and how heavily wooded it still could have been versus things falling off the trees and making it sparse through there. It was still pretty heavily wooded, even if it was February. There's no snow all over the ground or anything like that going on. So we do want to present that to you guys so we can get a good feel of the scene and let you guys really get a good look at this of the Monon. I bridge.
Yes,
Yes.
you got it. Yes.
Yeah.
Monon.
Yeah.
Monon. Yes.
Monon.
Monon.
Yeah.
It's a Native American name, isn't it?
Oh crap! I don't
Monon.
know about that.
I think it's Monon. I think that is. I had
Well, it was named
Monon has railroads. It's
the railroad.
associated with railroads.
Yeah.
railroad. Okay. There
Yes.
you go.
Yeah. Yeah. It was named for the railroad because that it was the old track there. So
Got you. I learned something myself because I was calling it Monon High instead of that. So thank you, Joe, and welcome, Ms. Barbara. Good to see you.
Hey, Miss Barbara, welcome in. Okay, so let's see, where were we?
Welcome, Big Fish Smoke Pond as well. I think we're right at the Brad Holder situation right now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. So in his first interview with law enforcement on February 17th, 2017, remember, guys, the girls were found the 14th. Brad Holder told officers that he had never met Abigail Williams. That was February 17th. Remember that. He never met Abby. In his second interview with law enforcement on August 30th, 2023, Brad Holder claimed that he had difficulty remembering which girl that Logan dated, despite the fact that the girl Logan dated had been involved in a high-profile murder case. In this second interview, Holder now remembered that he had supervised one date between Logan Holder and Abigail Williams. Scroll up a little bit, Dago. Are you stuck again?
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. No, I was reading the chat too. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Brad Holder. Go back up a tiny bit. Brad Holder claimed he had met Abigail Williams twice, including once at third-party suspect Patrick Westfall's house. Oh, go back up a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Listen. Brad Holder claimed he met Abby at Patrick Westfall's house, but he didn't state that till 2023. Wow. It is also important to note that Pat Westfall never admitted to the police that Abby had been to his house.
Interesting.
Okay. I'm soaking that in for a minute.
Now, I also want to add something to this, and this is just a thought, okay? So, we know that Logan dated Logan
dated Abby?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Logan dated Abby. Sorry. Brad's son, Logan, dated Abby is what I was trying to say. I don't know what happened in my head there for a minute. These two were best friends, okay? Abby and Libby were best friends. I want to guess that they were together a lot, and I would imagine that they were together at times that she was probably with Logan, okay, or talking to Logan or around Logan.
Oh yeah.
So I would venture to say, in my opinion, that he's probably met both of them at some point, and that's really the point that I was trying to make. So
yeah, there's a good possibility. I mean, he doesn't admit to knowing or meeting her so far that we've seen, but now he's admitting that, other than supervising a date once, I met her at. Now you remember you met her at Westfall's house after all this time?
Yeah, interesting, isn't that?
So is that even true? I can't trust this guy as far as I can throw him. So,
well, at this point, no. You got to say, well, why didn't you say that before? How did you remember that conveniently all of a sudden?
Well, you're not going to. Yeah, you're not going to say that in the past because you don't want to.
Well, his story changed twice.
Of course.
And Keegan Klein's story changed like 6 times, and Elvis Fields' story changed 3 times. So they're just trying to keep track of all the lies.
Agreed at that point, yes.
And why are all these people lying that are being investigated, right?
If you have no involvement, why are you lying? That's my point right there. Here's the thing. If I didn't take the last cookie out of the cookie jar, I didn't take it out of the cookie jar. I have no reason to change that story. It is what it is at that point. End of story. There's nothing to make up. There's nothing to change. There's nothing to not remember. So that's always an issue for me right there.
I mean, there may not be anything physically that ties these guys to that crime scene other than some geofencing data. But all you got that ties Alan is bridge guy photo, video, audio, and an unspent round.
And Jenny just made a really good statement asked a good question that's quite interesting. Why would a date take place at Westfall's house to begin with? Or why would they be at Westfall's house together in that aspect? You know what I mean?
Okay. So to explain that, the date was a separate incident than the meeting at Westfall's house.
Right.
He met her twice. Now, going back to why she could have been there, according to Westfall, hold on, a truck was passing. According to Westfall, he lived like 7 minutes from the scene at the time. So these kids all went to school together. He has kids. They went to school together. So his children knew them. So were the girls ever, there was some kind of birthday party. I think Brad's going to explain, or somewhere in the document it'll say something about that. So were they there at a birthday party? Possibly. I mean, they weren't just there to be there. You know what I mean? There was something to do with the other kids. And
Well, at what point did you start getting introduced to your date's parents? It was probably somewhere around this time, right? Somewhere around 13, you started getting introduced to your date's parents. So it could have been that. They could have just been like, hey, we're going to go out to the skating rink. We're going to go out to Pizza Hut. We're going to go out and do whatever. Here's the girl I'm going out with. Here's Abby.
Right.
So they were probably, well, then that would tell me that Abby and Logan had a somewhat of a time together then.
Yeah. They dated.
For more than just a week or a couple days or something.
Yeah.
You know,
I believe so based on what I've seen, but I don't have absolute evidence of that. But yes.
Just based
we've
on
never known. Yeah, we don't know exactly how long they were dating, but I think they knew each other for a long time.
That's kind of what I was kind of trying to get at there. So yes.
Yeah, so okay, Richard Allen has a right to have the jury consider the following about Brad Holder's second statement on August 30th, 2023, and whether his second statement and his deposition 9 months later, both providing different accounts of his interactions with Abigail Williams, tend to show he is a third party suspect. 1, whether Holder lied in his first interview on the 17th. Now that's the interview they can't find now, right? That's one that was recorded over. To inoculate himself against being a suspect by denying having met Abigail Williams. This is inconsistent with his statement in August 2023 when he stated he had met Abby, and with his deposition testimony that he met her twice. The validity or lack of validity. Brad Holder's initial claim that he had never met Abby in his February 17th interview, 3 days after the girls were found murdered, but then somehow was able to remember 6 years later, when interviewed on August 30th, that he had in fact met Abigail Williams one time. The likelihood in 2023, Brad Holder would not know which of the murdered girls his son dated following media coverage of this high-profile case, or whether his claim not to remember which girl his son dated was simply another attempt at Brad Holder to feign ignorance of his own knowledge of Abigail Williams to throw law enforcement off his scent as a suspect.
And truly, all he had to do
was in style over here. Look at that.
Right. And truly, all this man had to do was say, Logan, what was her name again? Oh, Abby, Dad. Yeah, come on now. That's so ridiculous.
He didn't forget.
He knew exactly what it was and who she was.
Yeah.
Period. That there's no two ways around that. So that being said, why would you lie if there's nothing that you have to connect to this?
Exactly.
Don't get it, and won't get it. That's all I'm saying.
You get in more trouble for lying, man.
Yes, ma'am.
No, you will not get in more trouble for lying. You will get in more trouble for murder.
Well,
like, seriously.
Yeah,
that's
true.
There are people who are suspects who lie about certain situations around the case because they don't want to be associated with whatever happened, and they end up not being associated with it. That happens a lot. I'm not saying that's Brad Holder. I'm just saying there are suspects. There are suspects who lie all the time to the cops, and that doesn't make them guilty of the greater crime.
No, it doesn't. I mean, come on, look, Casey Anthony again. We all know that girl lied. I'm gonna take you to where I work. Follow me with the cameras. Oh wait, I don't work here. Leads them all the way to her alleged office door, and then turns around, looks at the cops, and says, "I don't really work here." Like what? All these lies, that the girl was found not guilty, but she lied her ass off to the cops for a long, long time. So, direct evidence. The likelihood that Holder's ever-changing stories of meeting Abigail Williams, including his last story that he met her twice, once at Westfall's house, is indicative of a man who can't keep his story straight and only changes his stories because he is unaware of law enforcement evidence of those meetings, causing Holder to step closer to the truth with every account he tells. Why would Pat Westfall choose not to tell law enforcement that Abby Williams had been to his house, as Brad Holder claimed in his deposition? And does such omission show that Westfall was concerned about being connected to Abby Williams? In the course of the investigation, law enforcement found that Brad Holder posted many pictures of runes on Facebook and discussed their symbolism and magical powers. His Facebook posts indicate he believes in magical powers and runes. There's also images out there of him and Westfall together performing their ceremonies, along with their buddies. All right, Dago. Okay. Revealing are Brad Holder's own words in which he admits that runes hold magical properties. Brad Holder liked a post describing an outdoor sacrifice with a rune painted in human blood on a tree. Brad Holder also posted a picture on Facebook depicting a scene eerily similar to that of the bodies when they were found. He intentionally inscribed a temporary tattoo on his hand in a pattern similar to the sticks and branches placed on Abigail Williams. I've seen those posts. Even retired Indiana State Police Detective Kevin Murphy admitted that the sticks placed on Abigail Williams' body matched the temporary tattoo that Brad Holder inked on his hand just a few weeks after the girls were murdered. Wow. Holder painted. Go ahead. Did you say something?
I was just saying,
Yeah. It's insane. Like, what's even happening here?
Yep.
Holder painted and then posted a picture of Odin's sacrifice, in which the Norse pagan god Odin is hanging upside down and one leg is bent in such a manner that his foot is resting against his calf. That's how one of the girls was found.
Sure was.
The position, or that we know of, the position of Odin's legs in Brad Holder's painting is almost exactly the position in which the killer placed Abigail Williams' leg. Wow. Brad Holder believes in the power of magic and blood as it relates to magic. This is evidence in his Facebook post, as well as Amber Holder's testimony that Brad Holder intentionally cut his hand and allowed the blood to drip on his Odin altar. Oh, I ain't putting no blood on my altar, dude. Offerings, but not no blood. Amber Holder testified that Brad Holder took her hand and cut her hand to drip the blood onto the altar. They're walking in the dark, people. Let me just say that. Major Pat Cicero testified that the marking found on the tree near the bodies was transferred to the tree with Liberty German's blood. Dr. Perlmutter and Major Cicero testified that the marking on the tree appeared to be an upside-down L. Dr. Perlmutter testified that this resembles the rune Laguz. And you guys, if you were in my stream earlier, Dago showed us a picture of that.
Yep.
Dr. Perlmutter testified that this resembles the rune Laguz. She testifies that the runes charged by blood carry additional importance and magical powers, and that the blood is the highest offering to the gods. And that is so true. The Norse pagan ritual videotaped by Brad Holder in Fort Wayne clearly showed Pat Westfall using his hand to mark the tree in some fashion.
And if you back up to what Joe said just a little bit ago about the girls being taken down to the river, the water to be cleansed, that rune, guys, that I pulled up, I'll show you again here in a bit if I need to, but the Laguz rune is the lake rune. It's based on water and cleansing and things like that. So that's kind of interesting to me as well. Just saying.
Yeah. And a lot of things, when you want to be one with nature. And so the second I understand the crime scene, that trigger warning, Libby was drugged. And if she was drugged by an arm and left in that position with the arm out, okay, fine. But her arm was touching that tree, or her hand, or it was placed toward the tree. If you're touching that tree at that point, you're returning to source. So I feel like if it was intentionally placed there with that arm up touching that tree, it was for an absolute reason. If that's what happened out there.
I agree.
And that goes back to Perlmutter's quote, rune magic was being done with branches in the woods prior to the homicide. That's that is like such a connecting statement and opinion.
Yeah.
That I can't believe that it's not like one of the most important ones that anybody else is discussing. I have not heard that quote anywhere else. So I can't wait to get the transcripts, because I want to
I know.
Highlight that. I want to highlight that and be like, how did you all miss this? She said rune magic was being done with branches in the woods prior to the homicide. She says
prior to. And I remember when you brought that up the other day, we were talking about that, and it made me. That's why I was questioning about Libby sitting down. Were they all were? And then I realized, we talked about how that occurred. Were they in a sitting position? Once they got up there,
right,
and had to sit down, because something was about to be performed. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, though, the timeline doesn't make sense. 2:30 to 3:30. I mean, it makes sense, but to have all that go down in an hour is crazy. If it's going to take longer, a ritual is going to take a little bit longer than that. It's not a quick, boom, boom, boom. There's steps involved and things you want to do.
Especially if you have 2 to 6 people involved.
Yeah,
possibly.
And are you going to hang out in the woods, 2 to 6 people, with these girls you just took down there the entire afternoon, all evening, all night long, when people are going to start looking for these girls eventually?
Oh no, you didn't. You just opened up the biggest hole in the defense's theory to me.
I know.
Because their theory is that they were taken off site near or far, and then they were brought back. But there are literally thousands of acres of woods, hundreds of thousands of acres of woods in Indiana, and tens of thousands of acres of woods near a water source that you could take them to perform a ritual that's not within 100 yards.
Not to mention
of where they were abducted, where they were last seen.
Right. And now we also have another person that was looked at. It was on his property. And again, I'm telling you that this man reminds me of somebody that would show up with a shotgun in his hand if he doesn't know you being on his property. And I just have to question that. I'll say that right there.
Yep.
Yeah, because he was out moving around that afternoon. Ron was. His home team's right there near, it's in his backyard basically, but you got to go through the woods. He couldn't walk out the back door and see what was going down.
No.
Unless he went into the area closer down to the scene. Yep. Who's to say he didn't? But what I remember when I first began to look heavily at the area, right, the bridge and all the things, and I had never heard anybody talk about it because I really wasn't like going into a lot of streams and listening to people, just kind of doing my own research. And I noticed that driveway under that bridge immediately. I mean, how could you miss it? And it's right down the hill. You got to cross that drive to get to the creek. I always wondered, was there a car down there?
Okay, say there was, and that's part of the defense's theory, because after she takes her Snapchat photo of Abby, after Libby takes the Snapchat photo of Abby, and then she takes another picture of Bridge Guy, they take so many steps, and we don't know how many steps right now because we don't have the report, but they take so many steps recorded by Apple Fit, right? So those steps can be in any direction from the last known geolocation of that phone. They can be down the hill, they can be back across the bridge the other way.
Yeah.
But the defense's theory is that there could be a car waiting for them at that drive, and that number of steps would take them to that car,
right?
And then that car would take them off site.
Yeah.
If that car takes them off site, though, why do they bring them back? Why do they bring them back to the spot where dozens of people are looking for them?
Maybe that spot has something to do with something in particular. Maybe then, if the magic in the woods prior to.
But it's immediately prior. It's not like they were doing they were doing magic at 5 o'clock on the 13th, 5 p.m. on the 13th, right after they abducted the girls. And then so if they did take the girls off site, in my opinion, it would have to be somewhere close, like maybe Ron Logan's property. Yes. Maybe they borrowed a shed from Ron Logan and they kept the girls in the shed, and then they took them right back down to the creek.
That's why I brought that up. Actually,
that's a possibility, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I asked Mr. Steve when he was on panel, when he joined us, because he's been there and he's been to the cemetery and all the things. You can absolutely get to the crime scene from that cemetery. Steve did it.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And when you realize the proximity, guys, because we're going to show you all that footage, that cemetery sits on the other side, and you can on the back side of where the girls were found, right next to Ron's property. His is there on the corner, and you come down, you're going to see the cemetery. But you enter the cemetery, drive to the back, and there's cops all over that area when the helicopter footage we have. But so you can drive back into that cemetery. If you got that many people, you could probably get those girls back down there where you want them. Sure. Were they placed there on purpose? Because they had to know people were going to be looking for these girls.
Well, that's Big Fish just said they wanted them found, and I got to agree with that because of the way things were.
I agree.
Yes.
Absolutely. But who turned that phone back on at 4:33? And it was okay. So if you looked at that phone and you're the perpetrator, and you realize there's a video, are you going to go ahead and leave that phone there on purpose? Do you follow what I'm saying?
I do.
I'm not. But
are you setting somebody up?
Right.
Yeah, right.
If you realize that video's on there and it's just that one person on that video, are you now leaving it there on purpose? I couldn't understand why the phone was left there and not taken and destroyed.
Right.
I believe that's why it was underneath her, perfectly placed in a shoe, so that it would be found like that.
Right. If they believe that was Rick Allen and he had clothes that matched that were similar to that, and he wasn't involved, I would totally leave a phone with that video evidence underneath the bodies.
Yeah.
Not saying that's happened, but
this is speculation. Exactly. Speculation. Yeah. We're just trying to figure it all out.
If they were putting it on him in particular, let's say, why did it take 5 years?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to go out and say, hey, you're just not going to say nothing. True. You're going to let these cops have their messy investigation. They can't even figure out that Bridge guy. They're not going to figure me out.
Yeah, true.
Especially that interviewed me several times and blah, 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 blah. I just don't, and I'm not so sure Richard Allen's not involved. I still have no idea. Well, yeah, but I've not seen anything that ties him to this Odinist stuff. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm not even know that Odinism is what happened out there that day, but it sort of looks like it was a possibility. Very good possibility.
More and more.
Okay, so we're almost done with this document. So Brad Holder testified that one of these times he met Abby took place at the home of third-party suspect Patrick Westfall. Amber Holder, Brad Holder's ex-wife, testified that Brad told her that Patrick and his crew murdered Abby and Liberty. Richard Allen has a 6th and 14th Amendment right to present the jury these facts. Now, if she's stating that in a statement, that should be allowed. That should be allowed in. I don't know. I'd be like, sure, let it in. Insult. I almost said insult. Okay. Brad Holder was pointing the finger at Patrick Westfall to either insulate himself as a suspect by implicating Westfall. That Patrick Westfall, who had no real alibi, actually killed those girls, and Brad Holder knew it and wanted someone to know in the event that Holder was ever accused of the murders, or that Westfall, acting in concert with Holder and the girls abducted while Holder was at work, waiting Holder's arrival in Delphi later, at which time they killed the girls. These facts and arguments, along with knowledge that both Holder and Westfall were Norse paganists, and the belief of law enforcement and expert witnesses that the crime scene was filled with Norse pagan elements, all tend to show Brad Holder and Westfall killed the girls, and therefore the evidence should be presented to trial or to the jury.
What if, stay with me for just a quick second. This is just a thought, okay? Kind of like Joe's thing here earlier, but still. What if this wasn't supposed to be Richard Allen? If I'm not saying that he didn't do it, I'm saying it. Say, for instance, this was being put on somebody else, and it ended up on Richard Allen. What if that was an accident, and it's not supposed to be Richard Allen? It was supposed to be somebody else. You see what I'm saying? And it just so happened, and they're not gonna say anything. Nobody's gonna come out and say anything, but
we communities suspect guys down the hill is a separate recording than Bridge Guy. Did she drop the phone in her pocket and record the audio part?
Right.
So what if Alan was just out walking that day, checking out the stocks, looking at the fish? Abby's like, oh, look, weird guy following us. I'm going to record it, blah, blah, blah. And then that's the end of it. And then people see the phone and see this image and go, well, and just leave it. I don't know. It's hard to try to figure out, and my brain goes so many places sometimes. It's distracting. I had to stop listening to Delphi stream the other day because I was getting distracted driving. I'm like thinking, oh wait, man, I'm at the red light. Oh, the light's green. I got to go. I need to turn this thing off because I'm over here theorizing in my head and trying to figure it out.
Right. And you know why we're here, right? We're here because the police did not investigate this thoroughly and properly.
Yes.
Period.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. And
justice for Abby and Libby may be subverted because of their shitty and investigation techniques.
I agree. And that's a shame because those girls absolutely deserve better. All victims deserve the best investigation. So
more better, yes.
They do. And the fact that this one just seemed way off, and at first it was like a suspicion, but then as more and more and more came out, and then you saw the judge doing more and more weird things, it's like, why would you do all that?
Yeah.
Don't you want to know the truth? Were your investigators doing a thorough job over there? You're not even from Delphi, lady. You're from another whole other county. You shouldn't have any dog in the hunt other than the legal aspect, Take your personal feelings and set them aside, honey. We all have to. Consistent with the low bar required to honor a defendant's constitutional right to present third-party suspect evidence, Amber Holder's August 1, 2024 testimony exhibits an inference that Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall were involved in the murders. An inference. I'm sorry, I said the wrong word. Amber Holder testified that she is Brad Holder's ex-wife and that Brad Holder confided in her that he and Westfall had a falling out over something that happened in the woods near a river involving blood. Furthermore, Amber testified that Brad confided that Patrick and his crew killed the girls because of Wes. Okay, stop right there, Dago. Remember the other night when that account came in, and I talked to you about this privately a little bit, Dago.
Oh yeah.
I talked to my mod about it because I wanted to set some standards and make sure she and I is on the same page.
Of course.
Now, the account that came in, and I don't want anybody to take this wrong, please. I know the account well. I know all of the accounts that cover Delphi, and I watched them, regardless of how they feel. I've watched them. Some I won't watch anymore because I just can't. But
right,
and the account has some good content and some good documentary style videos on this case.
Mm-hmm.
What they were trying to do the other night in Dago's stream was talk about a theory, and it was mistaken as going after Abby's mom. And I tried to do it diplomatically, but I saw it wasn't going to happen, so I left it alone. But I'm going to address it now because we're fixing to talk about that a little bit. What the account was going to talk about was coming out of a document and statements that were made in the past. So the girls, because of Westfall's belief that Abigail Williams' mom was a race traitor. Dr. Perlmutter also testified that and guys, that's no shade against Abby or her mom. It's her lifestyle is her own. I got a lot of respect for her, but that's the theory because they're white supremacists involved, and Westfall himself admits this kind of thing. They're literally, he's on the Southern Poverty Watch List, right? Law Center's watch list because of their beliefs and their white supremacists tied into their Azatru and things of that nature. So her lifestyle could have been why Abby was targeted, which in turn made Libby a target, right? Because they were together. Yep. So, okay. That's where that account was going with that whole thing. And here it is in this document. So, yeah, right there, Dago. Perlmutter also testified that individuals adhering to the white nationalist version of Odinism would kill others because of the belief that someone was a race traitor. Furthermore, Amber testified that Brad Holder told her Westfall wanted to move on from animal sacrifices to human sacrifices, and that this was the real source of the falling out between Holder and Westfall. In his deposition, Holder denied ever making any of these statements to Amber. Would you remember if you did? Brad Holder's denial of uttering those statements to Amber makes Holder's statements subject to impeachment at trial. Brad Holder's alibi in question because of the 4:33 a.m. phone activity. Detective Jerry Holman testified that Brad Holder had an alibi as he left work at 2:45 p.m. on February 13th, 2017. And was 40 minutes away from the Monon High Bridge. First Sergeant Chris Cecil of the Indiana State Police testified that the phone ultimately found under Abigail Williams' body did not receive any SMS messages from 4:06 p.m. on the 13th until 4:33 on the 14th. This suggests that Liberty German's cell phone was not connected to a cell tower at the time. Law enforcement's claim that the phone had remained under Liberty German's body from 3:30 p.m. on February 13th until it was found around noon on February 14th. However, cutting against that theory is the fact that a police report references Sergeant Mitchell Vulture's belief that the phone, as of around 10 p.m. on the 13th, was either no longer working or in working condition, or that it was out of the area. Out of the area. We know from Chris we know from Chris Cecil that the phone was in working order because it connected to the cell tower at 4:33 a.m. on the 14th. Therefore, the police report supports the fact that the phone was out of the area for a period of time.
So that goes back to and kind of supports the theory that they were taken somewhere else possibly and then brought back.
Exactly.
So if that's the case, when they brought, okay, that would give, again, theory, guys, theory and pure speculative theory, but that would give a timeline as to when, if they were taken out of the area and were brought back in, when they came back possibly.
Yeah. Things that make you go, Now, if that on the geofencing aspect, what times were those phones within that geofencing area? The phones you looked at. What time did they leave the area?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see those geofencing warrants and the reports on that. Oops, let me get my screen back. Okay.
Absolutely. Any thoughts, Joe, on that part of this?
So there are no reports, geofencing reports, that say conclusively that the girls' phones left the area. Like they did not ping on any towers or Wi-Fi hotspots or anything outside of that area. So there is a possibility that the explanation is they were killed there when the police said that they were killed there. Mm-hmm. And the phone was placed there when they were, and they were just missed by the search crews, mysteriously missed by all these dozens of searchers.
Right.
But the phones disconnected from the cell towers and then reconnected to the cell towers magically at 4:33. And I have been in crappy cell phone coverage areas.
Right.
And you can have a cell phone that registers 1 bar 1 second, and then 10 seconds later registers 5 bars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mr. Steve did some. When Mr. and Mrs. Steve went out there, he did some very interesting tests on the phone stuff himself, and he said it was crazy, absolutely crazy, how these phones would ping and not ping, and different things. And we'd have to review his work on that, and we will, because I really want to look at what he also was able to bring to the table and get, when he went out there. Now it's not, accurate, 100% accurate science, because this is Mr. Steve doing what Mr. Steve does, but he knows what kind of stuff to go out there and try to do to recreate things. That's what he is really good at. But he did say that it can be, but that's a lot to me that that it was off all that time and then suddenly start
12 hours, 12 full hours.
Well, that's a big gap.
Here's the thing, did somebody take the phone with them, hold on to it and say, okay, what's the whole plan to bring it back, set it there, and then, okay, it's time now so that they find them? Or you know what, there's different,
or was that phone turned off and just left there?
You're right.
And then when they came back, turned it on.
Excuse me. Exactly.
Now it will ping. Now it will ping because they're probably looking for these girls. But would you go down in that area and stay down there? I mean, if you're quickly going to do something and sneak out of there, fine. But it's risky to stay out there and do all these things that you want to do when they were right there 5 minutes ago on this bridge, and people are going to be looking soon. I mean, it's weird.
It is weird. It doesn't make sense.
No, it don't. It's crazy. So, however, cutting against that theory is the fact that a police did I read all that already? Did I? Yeah. Okay. We can scroll down to the next page, Dago. And further support that the phone was out of the area is the fact that from 5:44 p.m. on the 13th until 4:33 a.m. on the 14th, the phone in question did not connect to the tower, in spite of law enforcement's claim that the phone had never moved from under Liberty German's body from the roughly 3:30 p.m. on the 13th until the girls were found around noon on the 14th. German's phone received no SMS messages from 4:06 on the 13th until suddenly received 15 SM messages at 4:33 on the 14th. It defies all logic that 15 individuals suddenly sent messages to Liberty. to Liberty's phone at 4:33, when she had been missing for over 14 hours. When Liberty's phone once again connected to the tower, Chris Cecil finally admitted during his testimony all of those messages awaiting Liberty's cell phone to connect to a tower, finally matriculated onto Libby's phone at 4:33. The simple explanation is that someone who was at the scene turned the phone on at 4:33, causing the phone to connect to the tower once again at 4:33. Jerry Holman testified that in law enforcement's theory of events, Richard Allen never returned to the crime scene after he left. Scroll up.
I have a question, just because it's been a while since I've seen this. Where did you stop at, so I know where to stop at?
Right here. Richard Allen never left the crime scene, or never returned to the crime scene after he left. Stop right there.
Now, real quick, just because I don't remember the bridge guy photograph and the audio and all that. There's claims, or there are timestamps on that. That's at least on the video, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to remember because I haven't looked at the timestamps.
Yeah, and the picture of of Abby on the bridge that Liberty took was posted to Snapchat, and they have a timestamp on that. What was that, 2:13?
2:13. Yeah, I do remember that. I just wanted to double check that was what it was.
Yeah.
I have another thing in my head, but moving on. Go ahead and read.
Oh, you're good if you want to ask or.
No, somebody said something in the chat about the phone leaving the scene so that it can be tampered with, and I just wondered a couple things about the phone, the phone tampering possibility. I'm just thinking out loud. Sorry, as I always do, unfortunately. Go ahead on forward with that. I'll just keep blending my little scrambled egg brain.
I'm just thinking in my brain, tampered with how, I don't know.
Yeah, like what could you have done?
Factory reset. I mean, there wouldn't have been a bridge guy image, or you know what I mean. I guess they could have recovered it somehow, but 2017, I don't know.
Right. That's yeah.
It'd be interesting to see those new reports that come out. So, okay. Richard Allen never returned to the crime scene after he left at around 3:30 p.m. on the 13th. So if Rick Allen left that bridge in the area at 3:30, that would have gave him 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
Now, could he have killed 2 girls in the woods in 1 hour? Yeah. But the other stuff that went down, I think, would have took longer than an hour.
Well, we know that there were certain movements done by the girls, or one of the girls at least. So one person being there and handling that while there's another girl here possibly too is hard to believe. That's all I'm saying.
And if you look at what we've been reading and heard in the testimony about Abby being Libby, I'm sorry, being drugged through the blood.
That's what I'm talking about.
They were killed there.
Well, yeah.
So, like Joe said, though, were they killed, then moved and brought back?
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to figure that out. If they were killed there, and the timeline is just like, wow, you know?
Well, they were definitely, Libby was definitely killed there. The amount of blood that was left there at the scene under her.
Yeah. Oh my God.
There are different theories about Abby.
Yeah.
But Cecil did testify that he believed that the amount of blood that accumulated under Abby showed that she did die there in place where she was killed with a few minor movements.
Yeah, I mean, she basically was bled out purposely in that spot. So yes.
Yeah, but
sanguinated.
But
yes, thank you.
Was Libby left there? Abby taken away, then brought back.
That's what some people theorize. Cecil said no.
Well,
that doesn't mean Abby wasn't killed there.
Right.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
So if she was alive when brought back, they have no time of death on these girls.
Nope.
No temperatures were taken.
Nope. Nope. I won't get back into the Carroll County coroner. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. You're good. Damn it, man. Okay. See, I tried to tell y'all months and months ago, let's get out of Idaho and let's go over to Delphi, Indiana. Okay. There's a whole lot here.
It'll
All
swallow
right.
you.
You want rabbit holes? We got them over here in the Delphi where we do it in the dark. These, let me make sure I've got my spot right here. Okay. Brad Holder's alibi for 3:30 p.m. on the 13th is meaningless, as is his alleged alibi that he was at workout anytime at 2 a.m. Remember, he claimed he went to the gym on February 14th. These phone issues are a major problem for the prosecution's contention that Richard Allen acted alone and he left the area where the bodies were found by 3:30 on the 13th, and certainly provide the minimum nexus, along with other evidence detailed herein, required to clear the hurdle that allows third-party suspect evidence at the trial. Patrick Westfall.
That takes care of Brad Holder, folks, and on we go to the next.
Brad Holder is connected with suspects in this case. One of those suspects is Patrick Westfall. Patrick Westfall was at home near the Monon High Bridge on February 13th, 2017, with his son Nick. That is, according to Westfall's interview, August 27th, 2023. 2023 at 11:56. There is no proof of Westfall's whereabouts on the 13th other than his statement. To date, law enforcement has provided no concrete evidence of Westfall's whereabouts on February 13th. Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall knew each other from an army deployment in Afghanistan. Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder practice Asatru. Patrick Westfall interview August 27th, 2023 at 11:56 till 12:19. That wasn't a real long interview, was it? Lord. How long was that interrogation thingy you watched earlier? That one dude, like hours?
Probably about 2.5 hours.
20-minute talk. We're done, dude. We're good. All right. I didn't do nothing.
It was probably based on cooperation as well. So
I was at home watching TV with my kid. Oh, all right.
Yeah, a lot of interrogations go 8-9 hours. Like that's nothing.
Yeah. Well, no, you got a new phone? Oh, no biggie. Go home.
Here's the difference, though. This was a law enforcement interview. That was done by private detectives, and it was a voluntary thing. This was a little different.
Yeah, but Joe and I have seen a lot of interrogations, and they go beyond, or even interviews, 20 minutes.
Yeah, all day. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, that's not. You should have a lot of questions for this dude. Okay. They were members of a small kindred, which is a group of people who believe in Asatru and who would gather to hold meetings and worship the gods. Westfall talks openly about their types of meetings and where and why. Holder and Westfall attended a pagan ritual videotaped by Brad Holder in 2016 in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which was entered into evidence. Near the end of the video, Patrick Westfall appears to be marking the tree with his hand. I've seen pictures of Westfall doing just that from Westfall himself. Appears to be marking the tree with his hand. Cicero testified that a tree at the crime scene was marked with blood of Liberty German. Dr. Perlmutter testified the mark was in the form of the rune. Major Cicero admitted that whoever sliced Liberty German's throat could have Liberty German's blood on their hands. And you can scroll up, Dago. The forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsy admitted that upon slicing Liberty German's neck, the amount of blood and the force of that blood exiting her neck upon slicing it would have been very powerful, squirting as far as 4 to 6 feet. Therefore, the jury could conclude that upon slicing her neck, the blood forcefully covered the killer's hand, who then used that blood to mark the tree.
like a water
Patrick,
fountain. Yep.
go ahead. What was that?
I was just gonna say it's gonna come out like a water fountain, and they could literally stand there and just
Yeah.
grab it, you know. And then it's gross, guys. Again, but I'm just being real. That's all. So
Well, yeah. I mean, anytime you have, you know, the blood splatter, we look at blood splatter evidence type things all the time. So even in the Koberger case, if you're stabbing people, what's happening? Where's all this stuff going? So, Perlmutter testified that sacrifices are almost always carried out by slitting the throat of the animal. Oh, I just lost myself. Hold on. Animal with sacrifices. You got stop right there. I got motion sickness. As mentioned earlier, Amber Holder testified that Brad Holder stated that Patrick Westfall wanted to elevate from animals to sacrifice into humans. Furthermore, Patrick Westfall acknowledges that Asatru worship takes place in a clearing in the forest. Westfall, August 17, 2023 interview. This is consistent with Perlmutter's testimony that rituals occur in open spaces in the forest. Both victims in this case were found in a clearing in the forest. This creates an inference that Patrick Westfall was involved in the murders of Abby and Libby, and that they were sacrificed in an Asatru Norse pagan ritual. Dago, you want to read this one for a second? Can you hear me? Dago.
yeah, sorry, I was muted. I was trying to get there. Anyway, yeah, that's fine. I was wondering when you're
I need to run to the restroom real quick, so I'll be right back.
Take your time. Okay, so now we're moving on to Elvis Fields. This was again another person that was a suspect as well. Excuse me. Elvis Fields, a Rushville, Indiana resident, is a suspect in this case who was investigated by law enforcement. There is no doubt that Elvis Fields knew of the existence of Brad Holder. He admitted as much in his deposition. Additionally, Detective Kevin Murphy testified that Brad Holder can be linked to Elvis Fields through Facebook posts and that Elvis Fields' Facebook posts mimic those of Brad Holder. Elvis Fields testified in his deposition that Brad Holder frequently mimicked his Facebook posts when he posted pictures of knives, brass knuckles, sticks in the woods, and other items. It is a logical conclusion that Brad Holder knew Elvis Fields in some manner if he was mimicking Elvis Fields' Facebook posts. It would be exceedingly rare for a stranger to follow someone's posts and even rare to mimic them, especially when both were suspects in the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. 1 second, folks.
I gotcha. But I'm not going to keep reading.
I'm good. I'm here. Former Rushville Assistant Police Chief Todd Click testified that Elvis Fields was a suspect or accomplice in the murders and that he was interviewed several times by law enforcement. After one such interview, in which law enforcement collected a buccal swab from Elvis Fields, Detective Kevin Murphy drove Elvis Fields home. This is important, folks. Detective Murphy testified that after Elvis Fields got out of his car, he returned and asked Detective Murphy if his spit was found on one of the girls, but he could explain it away, would he still be in any trouble? Elvis Fields lived in Rushville. He testified that he was at home in Rushville on February 13th of 2017. Why would somebody that was questioned about a murder, that denies everything, driven home by a police detective, walk away from the car and go, oh, by the way, hold on, turn around, walk back and say, hey, by the way, if my spit is found on these girls and I can explain it away, am I going to be in trouble? What the hell? And that's a huge issue to me. I'm sorry. But anyway. So, if he
okay, so real quick in relation to that. So the prosecution is going to say this guy was just an attention seeker. Like he's just saying that to get the interest of the cops because he's had the interest of the cops. They came down and they took him to the police station. They got a buccal swab.
Right.
Like they've been paying attention to him, and then now they're dropping him off at home. So all of a sudden he's not going to have any more attention. What can I do to get more attention? Let me turn around and ask a provocative question.
Absolutely.
That's what the prosecution's going to say. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
And that does make sense. It does. I see that happening too. I can visualize it. So thank you, sir. Appreciate you putting that out there. So there you go, guys. Understand that too. And where the heck was I? Okay, so back to where we at. He denied ever being in Delphi. Okay. Oh, let me reverse. He testified that he was at home in Rushville on February 13th of 2017, and he denied ever being in Delphi. If he spits on one of the girls, this places him in Delphi at or around the time of the murders. Elvis Fields' statement is admissible pursuant to IRE 803. Then, existing mental, emotional, or physical condition under this rule, a statement of the declarant's then existing state of mind, such as motive, design, intent, or plan, or emotional, sensory, or physical condition, such as a mental feeling, pain, or bodily health, is admissible as an exception to the hearsay rule. Elvis Fields' statement is clearly indicative of a guilty state of mind and indicates that he has a mental feeling of anxiousness over his conduct and possible ramifications. Additionally, Elvis Fields denied making that said statement to Detective Murphy. It is expected that Elvis will continue to deny asking the question at trial, thus making it proper impeachment evidence. This statement is also impeachment evidence contradicting Elvis Fields' statement that he was never in Delphi. And finally, Elvis Fields' question to Detective Murphy was precisely that, a question. Hearsay is a statement that, one, is not made by the declarant while testifying at a trial or hearing, and two, is offered in evidence to prove the truth of the matter asserted. IRE 80, a statement is a person's oral assertion, written assertion, or nonverbal conduct if the person intended it as an assertion, IRE 801. The hearsay rule does not bar commands, requests, or questions. Rod Abrams is a friend of Elvis Fields. In his statement to police, Rod Abrams stated that at the time of the murders, Ned Smith drove a white pickup truck, and that also sometimes Elvis Fields drove a white pickup truck. Tina Garrison saw a white truck parked at the old CPS building at approximately 4:20 p.m. on the day of the murders.
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
I came back from the bathroom. I'm listening. Real quick, Dago. Guys, I was reading those documents, and I'm on my phone right now, so I wasn't able to read the chat while I was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm streaming, I try to watch the chat, and I stop and I look at the comments so I can address any questions. So I'm not sure what's going on with Chris and whatever's going on there. So if I can see a question, I'll try to answer it. And welcome in, Not DB. How are you doing?
Yeah, I thank you, Joe. By the way, I just saw that. No worries, huh? No worries. And
Veronica,
we did
I don't know of any ties between Westfall and Cody. Not like anything I've seen concrete. I really don't know, to be honest with you.
Right. And then real quick, Chris, we do open panels. Sometimes we're not doing that now. We're doing a presentation of documentation right now to put that out there at a later date, maybe, but not right now, not tonight. We're not doing open panel. It's just the three of us that are presenting this. So my apologies.
We were on my stream earlier, doing this, and then I had some tech issues when the power went out, so we continued it over here. And really, my stream earlier, we went into another case, and then when we wrapped that up, we went into this document read. That's literally all we're doing and discussing what's come up out of the documents. There's a lot with this case, and I know that. And there are people who have a lot of feelings and want to be heard, and I get that, I do. But if you have a direct question, if you can just tag me and so I can see it, I'll try to address it as best we can. But I will ask you to be respectful. We're going to be respectful, so I'm going to ask you for the last time to please be the same way.
Yeah, give us some time, and there's going to be a lot of different shows. We're going to present a lot of stuff. At some point, there will be a time for people to present their feelings, opinions, and theories respectfully. That's all. But and again, I appreciate you being here, Chris. I really very much do. But this is just how we do things. That's all. Okay, thank you, Salty. Where did I go? Okay, Tina Garrison saw a white truck parked at the old CPS building near the Monon High Bridge Trail. Thank you. At approximately 4:20 p.m. on the day of the murders. This Tina Garrison report was tendered near the end of the day as an exhibit on August 1st, 2024. Given that, were you there for that one, Joe, or no, you were there for the last one, right?
Yes, third hearing.
Got you. Okay. Given both Elvis Fields and his friend Ned drove white pickup trucks, this potentially places them in Delphi near the scene of the murders on February 13th of 2017. Detective Kevin Murphy also testified that an analysis of Elvis Fields' cell phone records established that Elvis Fields used his phone often throughout a typical day. Strikingly, Detective Murphy testified on February 13th of 2017, Elvis did not use his phone between roughly 10:30 a.m. and 7:30 p.m. Interesting.
Say what?
Interesting.
Not once the whole day?
So for 10:30 to 7:30, guys, that's a long period of time. Why did you not use your phone? Especially if they look back at your records and see that you're using it on a regular basis. That's interesting. Here we are again with those things.
The damn phones in this case.
Right. All of the above is documented in Todd Click and Detective Kevin Murphy's reports. Statements made in a police report are not hearsay when offered to show the simple fact that the statements were made rather than for the truth of the matter asserted. Holding that report made to DCS by the accused was offered to show that it was made just days before the child who lived with the subject of the report accused. Oh, is this part of the case law? Anyway, accused the defendant of molestation and not for the truth of the matter. Yeah, it is part of the case law.
Yeah.
Sorry. Finally, the fact that Elvis's friend Rod Abrams and Ned Smith, could not keep their story straight again concerning their whereabouts with Elvis Fields on February 13th of 2017 is also important. According to Todd Click and Detective Murphy, Abrams told different stories as to his whereabouts with Elvis on February 13th. In one story, Abrams claims that he, Elvis Fields, and Ned Smith were all in a Muncie hospital visiting a friend on February 13th. In his interview in 2018, Abrams admitted having his phone with him while in Muncie on February 13th, 2017. However, when pressed whether his phone's pings would verify that he was in Muncie at that time, Abrams stated that the hospital equipment would likely block his phone's location. Jesus.
We are both thinking the same thing. How convenient.
Yeah, exactly.
So they all went to go visit a friend in the hospital at the same time.
Yeah.
One of their Oz-Crew buddies.
What a coinky dink. Which is a different story than he told a few years earlier. While Abrams and Smith claimed that Elvis was with them in Muncie on February 13th, Elvis denies that he even ever left Rushville on that day. Yet again, Detective Murphy testified that Elvis Fields' phone records show that the man who constantly used his phone on any given day for some reason did not use his phone between roughly 10:30 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. on February 13th of 2017. Guys,
nearly 24 hours?
Absolutely. You didn't touch that phone for almost 24 hours. Come on now.
Right.
Didn't he call his sister at some point? Or wait a minute. Retract what I just said. Never mind.
So they went to Muncie, which is a fairly long drive from Rushville.
Mm-hmm.
Your phone would ping off of about 2 or 3 dozen towers in between Rushville and Muncie. So even if you're in the hospital and your phone is actually suppressed and pinging off a tower is suppressed while you're in the hospital, it's going to show you going to the hospital and coming back home from the hospital. So
true that. Yeah.
Just turning your phone off and saying, "Oh, we were in a hospital 2 hours away." No, sorry. Or even an hour away. I think Rushville is like southeast side of Indy, and Muncie is northeast side of Indy. So that's at least a 45-minute, maybe an hour drive, and you're going to ping off of several towers in between.
Right. Absolutely. And at 21 hours, you use your phone on a regular basis, and for 21 hours you don't touch that phone, something's wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't.
Because you got Elvis not using his phone for nearly 24 hours, got Westfall getting a new phone because whatever happened to his, and we don't even look at holders, only his sons.
Absolutely.
Well, what about Rick Allen's phone? Where's all that data and movement and pings and geofencing? Where is it?
There's too many things.
It's not like you in Idaho now. Where is it?
Make it make sense, right?
No, this case don't make no sense. I don't think it ever will.
No, it ain't going to. Sorry. Hold on. There we go. I think. Okay. Now. Period. February 13, 2017. Oh, okay. On February 13, 2017, a period of 9 hours by Google Maps is roughly a 2-hour drive from Delphi to Rushville, giving Elvis plenty of time to leave his phone in Rushville, drive or be driven in a white pickup truck to Delphi to participate in the murders, and then return to Rushville. These changed, inconsistent stories related to Elvis Fields' alibi. Oh my God, I just had a... Wow, okay. We're going to have to talk, Salty. Oh my God, what a ding-ding that was. Okay, moving on. As well as to Elvis's phone activity for February 13th of 2017. Provide further inferences of connections between Elvis and the murders and other third-party suspects. Furthermore, while Johnny Messer admits to knowing Elvis Fields, Rod Abrams and Ned Smith, that is not the story that Elvis Fields and Rod Abrams told to police. Both Elvis and Rod deny knowing Johnny Messer. These points were made in documents provided to the court, along with the notes that pointed to the specific pages or timestamps on the items. These inconsistencies and denials provide evidence that the parties can't keep their stories straight on something as basic as whether they know each other. These discrepancies could certainly be viewed by a jury as attempts by guilty parties to hide their connections in order to deceive law enforcement. I agree. The inconsistencies and discrepancies concerning their alibis and whether they have known each other are examples of things the jury should hear concerning third-party suspects. These discrepancies, combined with Elvis Fields' clear connection with Brad Holder through Facebook and Elvis's incriminating question to Murphy, support Richard Allen's 6th and 14th Amendment right to pursue these third-party suspects. So, we're moving on to Mr. Johnny Messer now. Hold on 1 second, Doodle. 1 second. Give me a second here, guys. Just one moment. I saw that question earlier. I posted up. Sorry, Doodle. I didn't see it sooner, but PCA says that the bridge guy was walking behind Abby on the bridge in Libby's video.
Dago.
Yes.
Chris.
Yeah. He's
all right. Don't speak to the mods that way, please. I know you want to about a question. I'm looking at the chat. I don't know what the question was. Dago, if y'all see his question, let me know. If not, do what you need to do.
It's already done. I'm done with it.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
It's over with. I'm sorry. I tried. I was polite for a long time. I'm sorry, but we have patience with everybody else. If you can't have patience with us, maybe you're not in the right place. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not even understanding what problem was. So.
It was a question that he had asked a long time ago. I posted it up here, and it had something to do with Richard Allen being behind them, and it is what it is. It's over with. It's gone.
Okay.
You're good, dude, honey. You didn't do nothing wrong, hon. You're fine.
No, ma'am, you did not. You tried to handle it diplomatically as usual. It's all good. We can't it is what it is.
Can't make everybody happy. That's okay. Johnny Messer, a former Rushville. I'm sorry. Were you going to say something, Joe?
Yeah, I was going to say, and you can't be telling our mods and hosts fucking all the time.
No.
Like, give it a rest.
And exactly. I'm going to tell you too, Chris, I don't fucking like when my mods are fucking talked to like that. So
yeah,
thank you.
Bravo.
Moving on. Johnny Messer, a former Rushville resident, is also a suspect in this case who connects the Logansport Delphi crew of Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall to the Rushville crew of Elvis Fields, Rod Abrams, and Ned Smith in Rushville. There are pictures on social media of Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, and Johnny Messer together at an Odinist gathering. That photo was admitted into evidence on August 1st, 2024. And both Kevin Murphy and Todd Click testified as to the connection between Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, and Johnny Messer. Detective Murphy and Todd Click testified that Holder, Westfall, and Messer were all associated with the Vinlander Social Club, hereinafter Vinlanders, a club for Europeans as explained by Patrick Westfall. Johnny Messer was a probate with the Vinlanders. Murphy and Todd Click testified that the Vinlanders engaged in Asatru-based practices, worship gods such as Odin and Thor, and were Odinists. Johnny Messer confirmed that most members of the Vinlanders were into Odinism. Patrick Westfall and Johnny Messer traveled to Minnesota together for a Vinlander event. Johnny Messer's uncle is Billy Messer. Elvis Fields previously lived with Johnny Messer's uncle in the Rushville, Indiana area. However, one of the most important aspects. Were you going to say something, Salty?
Oh no, you're good.
However, one of the most important aspects of the Johnny Messer evidence is Messer's role as a recruiter in the Vinlanders. According to former Rushville Assistant Police Chief Todd Click, Messer denied recruiting members for the Vinlanders. However, Click also testified that he had interviewed multiple men who admitted that Messer had recruited them to join the Vinlanders.
Now, that was apparently one of Messer's positions there in the Vinlanders, was to recruit new members.
Gotcha.
According to Westfall.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just completely lost my. Hold on a minute. However, one of the most important aspects of recruiting members. Okay. There we go. Messer's denial of being a recruiter for the Vinlanders just a post against Click's investigation, revealing that Messer was, in fact, actually trying to recruit members to the Vinlanders, would indicate that Messer felt he had something to hide. What could that be? The obvious answer would be Messer was the recruiter that hooked Elvis Fields up with Brad Holder. After all, Messer knew both Holder and Fields. The fact that Messer's former girlfriend, Taylor Hornaday, told Kevin Murphy that around Valentine's in 2017, that Messer was up there visiting his Vinlander friends. Interesting. And that a red substance she believed was blood was found on the car he drove up there. Provides additional connectivity between these parties and the murders. Oh my God, I wish they would have tested that blood, damn it. And
because she had stated that there was blood on the vehicle, but
God, I wish they'd have tested that. Damn it. And the murders, and that Richard Allen has a constitutional right for the jury to hear of those connections. Very true. Hey, Kimber. Keegan Kline and Jerry Anthony Kline. Keegan Kline is the son of Jerry Anthony Kline. He was 22 years old in February 2017, and he and Jerry Anthony Kline resided in Peru, Indiana in February 2017. Detective David Vito testified that Keegan Kline was communicating with Liberty German using a fake Snapchat account. This is the guy, we told you guys all about this the other day, so that's the same person here. Under the name of Anthony Schatz in the days leading up to and on February 13th of 2017. The content of these messages is unknown. He further testified that Keegan Kline admitted to driving to Delphi with his father, Jerry Kline, on February 13th of 2017, and that Keegan
So
waited.
wouldn't Libby's phone extractions tell you what those messages said between her and that account?
I would think so.
And if they know that account communicated with her the night before and the morning of, then they have to know what was said.
I would have to agree. I was going to question that. Truly. I mean, Joe, what do you think? You're muted. You're still muted.
I got it.
There you go.
I got it. Takes a minute.
You're fine.
Yeah, no, I would think there would have to be reports somewhere.
Yeah.
I gotta agree. Yeah.
Has the defense requested those? Have they been provided those in discovery?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because he's in prison but never been charged with this, but I can't help but wonder, who all had access to that account. The fact that it communicated that morning, that would almost make you, if you took all this Odinism away, did that account lure the girls to the bridge?
That's what.
Right.
Yes. Thank you.
That brings up another conspiracy theory that there was some connection between Richard Allen and Keegan Kline.
Yes.
Which has been testified to by about 50 people, but it's never been proven. So
is there a possible connection between Keegan Kline or Tony Kline and any of these other people by chance?
Right.
Not that we've seen yet. They say no.
Nope.
Not yet. Right. So I don't even know. Welcome, Mark and Betty. Good to see you. Veronica.
I'm assuming there was nothing in Kline's social medias that tied them to any kind of Odinism or runes,
Right.
I don't know. We haven't seen anything of that other than he was the weirdo in the basement doing what he was doing.
Right. The pervert in the basement.
Trying to be Tony Shots. Right.
Yeah.
And that Keegan Kline waited in the vehicle while Jerry Anthony Kline went to the woods in the area where the Abigail Williams and Liberty German's bodies were ultimately found. Detective David Beto testified that Keegan stated that when Jerry returned to the vehicle, he had blood on him. Roland Purdy further testified that Keegan admitted that they discarded a knife in a river when they were driving home. All this evidence creates an inference that Keegan and Jerry murdered Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
And remember, Kline, they searched the Wabash River.
Yep.
Remember for the weapon that they were just speaking of?
They spent $1 million searching.
5 weeks, right? 5 weeks they took to search this river and found absolutely nothing.
5 weeks and $1 million to search a river.
Which could have taken that 5 weeks, and that $1 million could have went to something else more important in this investigation than his
stupid. It could have went to pay for some experts for the defense.
Yeah, agreed. Jesus, what a mess. Ron Logan. So the bodies of Abigail Williams and Liberty German were located on February 14th, 2017 on the property of Ron Logan. Ron Logan lied to law enforcement about his whereabouts on February 13th.
Damn liars. I'm sorry, that town's full of liars.
Nothing but. They're all, maybe they have
a bunch of men telling lies, and it took them 5 years to figure out. We've known all along who this guy was. Damn it, man. We're sorry, people.
I guess at this point, it's
good Lord.
Who told
I got a headache.
I'm sure. I guess at this point, it's who told the most lies and which were the worst. So, the bodies of Abigail Williams and Liberty German were located. I did that already. The property of Ron Logan. Ron Logan lied to law enforcement about his whereabouts. Ron Logan's physical build is consistent with that of the individual in the video captured by Liberty German's iPhone on February 13th of 2017, and I have to disagree with that. And his voice is consistent with that of the voice on the audio. Much like the facts in Allen, the evidence that third parties killed the girls in this matter is exculpatory, unique, and critical to Mr. Allen's defense. The crime scene included many findings that the killers practiced as a true, and that it was a ritualistic crime scene. To be exculpatory evidence must clear or tend to clear Mr. Allen of alleged fault or guilt. Simply put, if someone else committed the crimes, Richard Allen did not. Richard Allen has zero ties to As the True, Odinism, or the Vinlander Social Club, unlike Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, or Johnny Messer. The above evidence is exculpatory, unique, and critical to Mr. Allen's defense. The above evidence that the state wants to hide from the finder of fact is admissible for two reasons. One, it demonstrates the lack of investigation and failures with the investigation, and the fact that of a distinct possibility, if not high probability, that people other than Richard Allen killed Abigail Williams and Liberty German. 3, Richard Allen has a right to introduce evidence of motive as it is always relevant. Evidence of motive is always relevant in a criminal prosecution. In the context of third-party motive evidence, an accused must show some connection between the third party and the crime before the evidence is admissible. In this case, the prosecution has no proof of any connection of Mr. Allen to Abigail Williams or Liberty German, nor have they identified any motive as to why Mr. Allen would kill them. There is absolutely no evidence as to Mr. Allen's motive to commit the crime. What does exist, however, is motive on the part of Patrick Westfall, Brad Holder, and others to kill Abby Williams and Liberty German. Brad Holder knew Abby Williams as his son was dating her at the time of the murders, and he had supervised them on at least 2 dates. Patrick Westfall participated in animal sacrifices, as the true sacrifices are carried out in order to provide the offender with power. Power through runes, blood, and binding runes, all of which are present at the location where the bodies were found. This provides motive for Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall to murder Abigail Williams and Liberty German as a true Odinist sacrifice. Wherefore, for the reasons identified above, Richard Allen by counsel respectfully requests the court deny the prosecution's motion in limine as it relates to Odinism, cult, or ritualistic killing. Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, Johnny Messer, Elvis Fields, Ned Smith, Rod Abram, Keegan Klein, Anthony Klein, or Ron Logan, and for all other just and proper relief in the premises. Respectfully submitted, blah, 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 blah. So, there it is, folks.
And that document read alone was enough to get you guys caught up as to where this investigation started, how it was unfolding, and
where it is
kind
now.
of how it got here now. Exactly.
Yes, ma'am. And it's interesting. I learned some things throughout this, Salty.
Hold on, I gotta address one little comment. Doodle, Kimber, hey baby, I love you, and I was thinking about you today. Kimber is naked, standing in a chair, begging for attention from Salty.
Oh, good God, Kimber,
Kimber knows she ain't got to beg for my attention. She know better.
You guys are a trip.
It's Saturday night.
Yes.
Way late.
Absolutely.
We got Kimber over there running around naked in the house.
She's on vacation, Salty. That's where she's at. That's
that's right. Oh, wait. Kimber, I'll be there in a minute, girl. Hold on.
Right. So I got something that whole thing where I went ding ding and something came to my head a little bit ago. Remember back a little bit ago when you brought up that situation about the race trading thing. Remember that?
Yeah.
I had to wonder this whole Elvis Fields spitting on the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
If those two things could be related.
Yeah. Definitely. I spit on you because you're no good.
Thank you.
I don't feel that way, but I'm saying could be his mentality.
That's the opposite of what the prosecution argued in cross on that testimony was, if you're saying that this is a white supremacist cult that committed these crimes, why are they killing young white girls? Because they believe that the white race is superior. Why are they not killing an inferior race?
Exactly.
That was the argument that was made on
Yeah.
August 1st.
You know, but what I had referred to as a possibility, what Salty said, there you go. So yeah, interesting.
Because when you go back to why would these girls be a target for a sacrifice if that was truly the case? And the theory is it ties back to someone's lifestyle, and they didn't like it.
Right.
Yep.
And
the defense didn't bring that up. There was nothing
Really?
that. Yes. Nope. They didn't touch it.
Not yet. Not yet. It may come up still, I think, but
I don't think they're going to be able to bring it up at all. If Judge Gold makes the ruling this week on this and says, nope, you're not bringing it in.
well, then yeah, there's that, which I highly anticipate, honestly.
So then you go back to your evidence at hand. What does the state have on my guy? And how can you prove he was there physically? Now, Koberger, we got DNA on the scene, on the sheet. We all know that that's there and exists. But what do we don't know about anything like that over here? You know, we've heard that they have DNA. The family's heard they have DNA. But who the hell does it match? Nothing in the document from the defense or prosecution has come out and said anything about DNA matching Alan, or nothing about Alan's phone. So
you would think the probable
strange.
cause affidavit. Didn't the probable cause affidavit in Koberger mention the DNA? It did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not mention it in Richard Allen. So they have the tool marks on the unspent round, and they have the confessions.
That's it.
And the judge is also ruling on the confessions this week, or theoretically.
And I hear people before we began presenting Delphi, people would say, "Well, didn't he confess? I heard he confessed." Yes, he did, allegedly, like 60 to 61 times. But what were the conditions under those?
Under duress, in my opinion. I think they were full of duress based on that's my opinion. This is based fully on what we saw of the suspect himself and what we know of how he was reacting while sitting in prison.
So, no, it's based on more than that. The defense made a full case out of it, and most of that case was on Wednesday, which I wasn't there, but the closing arguments were on Thursday morning when I was there.
Good. Okay.
And the maximum amount of time you're supposed to spend in solitary is 30 days.
Yeah.
When he confessed, he had been in solitary for 4 months. 4
solitary.
times. Yes.
Four times the amount of time he should be,
yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. So their argument was he was not in his right mind. He was having psychotic episodes, and those are what triggered the confessions. So.
And you're being held in a prison where guards are wearing odinist patches.
Right.
So how can I trust your confessions weren't say what I need you to say and say it now?
So that alone should throw those confessions out, in my opinion. But anyway,
right. We'll see what Judge Gold has to say.
Right.
And at no point did anybody walk in there and say, "Mr. Allen, are you ready to make a statement confession and sign it?"
Right.
They never did that.
Confess on the record right now.
Right. Would you like to confess on record? That would be my first question as an investigator. If I got somebody confessing left and right all over the place, and I hear you're confessing to your wife and all these things, I'm going to approach you now and say, "Do you want to make an official confession?"
Well, they couldn't. Okay, devil's advocate, they couldn't do that because he was in state custody, and his attorneys would have to be there for that.
True, and I would have invited them. If he's out there making all these confessions, I would have met with them and said,
Absolutely.
"Hey, your guy's doing this. What do you want to do about this?" So, and I've seen other cases where confessions are thrown out; they're not allowed in.
Right.
So, but this is Indiana and Judge Gull, so who knows what she'll end up deciding? And can any of that come back to bite her in the ass on appeals?
Absolutely.
This man spent 120 days. 120 days in solitary confinement, folks. And you got to imagine in a prison, it's probably locked down in a 3x5 cell with nothing.
It was 6x8, and it was 23-1 at the most.
And remember, Libredo said they would take him into that big kitchen area, into a cage and put him in there.
That's
When
how
he would go, yeah, when he went and talked to him, and Alan couldn't sign anything, really review. I mean, it was just a crazy way they were doing. And even before that, when he would meet with his, when he was meeting with his original attorneys, which are the attorneys now, they're back on the case, but they were being filmed by these guards. That's a violation of your rights right there.
Absolutely.
And I still can't get past Libretto's interview where he claimed, first off, that he feared the Odinism side of things and didn't even know it realized, but let that go, where he claimed that they asked him and he said that not only did he say, and I'm not saying that this means anything, you guys, it just caught my attention because this is an attorney. He's not even his attorney anymore. And he's saying this now that he believes that Richard Allen had nothing to do with this based on what he had learned and what he knows. And that was interesting to me. I'll just say that. So,
and another interesting thing about that was when Libretto came onto the case, Gull's like, let me know if you want to adopt that Franks motion. We'll have a hearing on it. But denied the original defense the same courtesy.
She was friends with him. That's the difference. But yeah,
I think she didn't think he would go down that road. I don't know.
She probably thought he was going to go along with what was going on, and lo and behold,
or he'd take a look at it and see, oh, okay, they did do a thorough investigation. This is really a nothing burger. I don't know. It's hard to try to get in Gull's head and figure out why she does what she does.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, interesting though. It's interesting at the very least. Welcome, Bama Mama. Good to see you tonight. Jenny, good to see you. Veronica. Let's see. Anybody else I may have missed? Summer Thunder, welcome. Great to meet you. Mark and Betty, welcome back. Big Fish, Small Pond. I don't know if I spoke with you. Worth every scratch. Good to see you. All of you guys that jumped in, we appreciate you very much. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Yep. Don't forget to hit that like button.
Please do. Please do. And again, guys, if you have the time and it just takes a second, please run over. If we could drop Salty's link in the chat one more time, run over to her channel because there were some technical issues tonight. And the video she put up tonight that says This Week in True Crime, please click on that video, hit the like button, and share that out if you will, at least that portion of it. And subscribe to that channel if you have not yet done it, please. I would really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, we're Dago and I do work a lot together, and we know we love bringing Joe on, and we're gonna get him some subs up as well. He's gonna be doing some lives himself, but we appreciate all you being here, and
Absolutely.
we just want to we just want to present these cases as fairly as we can, and just have good discussions, and you guys are helping us provide that, and we appreciate it.
Actually, and that's why I said, guys, if you didn't notice when I said what I said here a few minutes ago, Joe said no. Not only they made a full case out of it, so this is what I mean. We have somebody that can add to what we know already and give you factual information about the entire thing, and that's amazing to me. I love it, and I do appreciate you, Joe. Again,
appreciate you too, Dago.
There is that link to his channel to you guys. Doodle, thank you. Check that link out as well. There's no content as of right yet, but that's going to change here soon, and I promise you won't be disappointed, as you can tell just from him being here, guys. So
yeah, the community's received him very well, and we do appreciate you coming in, Joe. We really do.
100%. Yes.
Love being here. I love it.
Yeah,
we love having you here, sir. Very much so. So I don't know. I have some my head's swimming right now. Both of you, telling you it really is. There's a couple things in there that I didn't realize. One, the fact that they didn't search both of those houses. That was like a what?
Yeah.
That kind of blew me up a little bit there. And a couple other little things that were said here. It makes you look at this.
Well, it's odd that they weren't searched, considering there were a couple of other places that were searched.
Yeah.
That didn't have anything to do with these guys.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The house on Bicycle Road, the Weavers, all these different things that were searched. Logan's, of course, his was going to be searched. They were found there. But, why not search those guys' homes as well? Especially if you're thoroughly looking into them at that moment. It just made no sense.
Absolutely. Yes.
So if they, botch this case, it's all on them. But like I said, even if Alan is the guy, you let your community suffer for 5 solid years over your bad mistake. And that's unacceptable in my opinion. I can't get past it. I would be so angry if I was a parent of that child. I would have a heart. You think Steve Gonzalez is hot? I'd be hot, and I would probably be saying it. It'd be hard not to, but
absolutely.
I've had a really long day, and I got some things to do tomorrow as well. So we're probably going to wrap it up here because it is getting late, guys.
Yep.
We got we had the other things we were going to talk about didn't pertain to this case at all. I was just going to go over a couple things if we had time, but it's nothing biggie. We can't run on another day, like maybe Monday. So we'll get back to the other stuff we had to present. But like I said, it wasn't anything major. There is a couple things to review, but they are pertaining to other cases. So we won't get into them yet because, like I said, it is getting late. So,
absolutely. Did you have anything else to add, Joe, before we were to bring anything down?
Nope. We're all good.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you, chat. And thank you for trying to deal. Trolls are going to happen. And all we can do is try not to let them get under our skin. And just deal with them for a little bit and then get rid of them if they continue to do what they're doing. So, Doodle, always diplomatic, Miss Doodle. Appreciate that very much.
She did her best, and it is what it is. So, thank you. I appreciate you very much, Doodle. You know that you always do a wonderful job. So, thank you.
And for any of you guys that were, this is not me like trying to blow my horn or Joe's, but if you weren't in my stream earlier and you want to go check it out, at the beginning, Joe presented another case out of Indiana. Got some trigger warnings in it. It was a little graphic, but it's a good case to look at if you're, just want to review good true crime stuff. So go check it out.
There's a link right there.
And we started the document read over there as well. So any of this document read you missed here, you can go catch up on it there and get the beginning of it. So
yeah, go check that out. Like it. Please like it. Make sure you like it. Share that first part. Let's share the other half over here. Somebody will put it together and we'll go from there.
All right.
Salty, thank you very much. Thanks, Doodle. You did an awesome job.
Yes. Thank you, Joe, again.
Awesome.
I'll talk to you again soon. All right, guys, I'm going to jump down as well. Thank you again, Dago, for coming over and being our guest with us over there. We appreciate you. And thanks for picking up the stream for the second time for me when I've had a tech issue.
Never, ever an issue, and you know that. Always and in any time I can.
All right, guys. All right, everybody. Y'all have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you somewhere tomorrow on the YouTube streets.
See you later.
Or on my community tab.
Peace
Good night, guys.
Take care, Joe. Good night, Salty. Guys, thank you very much in chat. Again, you guys are amazing. I appreciate you guys jumping from there to here very much. And I appreciate you guys understanding the tech issues and all that kind of stuff. Salty's great. She has a great channel. She puts out amazing stuff. And I'm greatly appreciative that she did it. And that she trusts me to go ahead and help her with that situation. That's an honor for me. So I appreciate that as well. Everybody else. Absolutely. Just so you know that. Everybody else in here, guys, don't forget to love yourselves, love each other. Don't change a thing because you guys are absolutely amazing. And I will see you on the other side. Have a great night, folks. Good night. God bless. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Typing at the speed of light, hunting down the shadows, bringing wrongs to right, digging deep in the data facts, sharp as a knife. With every single story, he's fighting for a life. A voice for the voiceless, he won't stay quiet. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelations shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. Streaming loud and clear, cracking cases open, hearts filled with fear. His channel's a beacon in a world gone wrong. He guides us through the chaos, a soldier so strong. The clicks and the lights, they follow his lead. With every new case, he plants a new seed. Sharing their stories, giving hope where it fades. Daniel's a warrior through the trials he waits. In a world of silence, he shouts out their names. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. revelation shining through the night. With every victim story he pulls at the strings, a hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. From the shadows you rise, are streaming loud and clear. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story he pulls at the strings, a hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. From the shadows and moments he won't let us fall, bringing the truth out, answering the call. For every soul forgotten he's here to stand tall. Tangle the genuine, he'll always give it his all. Dangle's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim